You could say that.
I got to play on the dock.
I'm sorry, what?
I got to play on the dock today.
Lucky you.
Yeah, I got to go back tomorrow because it's really hot out there. I'm hoping not to fall in the water because it's full of like green moss. Got to move a dock over to one to another. So yay
For the jet skis.
Yeah.
Oh, rough day.
Yeah.
So you're quote unquote
Working. Well, the jet skis aren't here, but yeah, we have to move one dock to the next, and then we got to sink part of the dock. This and that.
All right, we ready, gentlemen?
Yeah.
I'm a gentleman.
Well, there's three
gentlemen.
Three of us. Three gentlemen and one. I don't even know how to classify you.
Man-child.
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 That's what my wife calls me.
We can all relate to that a little bit.
Doesn't she call me your girlfriend?
Just a hair.
Down?
What? You have a girlfriend?
No, he calls me his girlfriend.
No, my wife.
Oh, that's weird.
My wife calls him my
Perfect.
girlfriend.
That's really weird.
Yeah, that's good right there.
All right, let's get it going. Everyone, thank you for tuning in. Thanks for listening to the Untitled Car Project podcast about cars and nothing.
Nothing?
Well, I mean, it's
all kinds of rad
tangents.
shit.
The tangents are considered nothing.
Oh, yes.
But they're actually car-related tangents, so at least we stay somewhat on topic.
How come we don't have in our Discord a section that says random tangents?
Nobody's in Discord anyway.
Well, they should be.
We don't have.
Join us on Discord.
We don't have anybody.
No, just me and Grant.
Yay.
We chat
I'm not
back and
even
forth.
on there.
No, you're not even in there, loser.
I have a Discord. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm Rob Spring.
Jeremy Molt.
I'm Grant Gonzalez.
We are here with Arturo Cantu.
Cantu.
Cantu?
Yes.
Cantu?
I
All
want
right,
I want
spelled it
him to re-say it because it sounds way better in Spanish.
You say it.
Arturo Cantu.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, you're right. That's really good. All right. Well, Arturo, we are going to probably dive right into your project cars since we're on a little bit limited schedule, and I was delinquently late today.
How's it feel to be Grant for once?
Oh, it's awful. It's terrible. I mean, for the 16th episode, first time being late, that's not so bad, I suppose.
Yeah.
Just work was horrible today, so.
Nobody will ever know you were late, though.
They will now. I already said it. That's okay. So, Arturo.
Yes, sir.
I hear you're big into Volkswagens.
Yeah, like older stuff for them.
Yeah. I mean, those are the only
majority.
cool ones that are out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I stopped somewhere around Mark III, so 99-ish.
Okay.
The classics.
That's almost fairly current.
Early stuff, yeah.
You know, if you go back into the 60s with the bugs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Buses.
I definitely enjoy air-cooled rigs.
Yeah.
But water-cooled stuff is kind of, that's where my passion's at.
Really?
Mm.
All right.
Mark I, Mark II.
All right. So what's your current project? You got a current project? Volkswagen related or no?
I always refer to Volkswagens just like Doritos. You can never have one.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be munching on
fair.
a bag of Doritos right now, too.
Yeah, I have a few projects going. I like to collect parts, and then just kind of get things going.
Yeah.
As it goes. Probably one of the biggest projects, the most lengthy one, is one that I was telling Jeremy about. 88 Jetta Coupe.
Okay.
Which is actually a pretty rare car, all in its own right. I found it with 87,000 original miles. It was, I'm the second owner.
Oh, wow.
So I actually have the original 87 title.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Or 88 title.
Yeah.
Which is super cool.
So
and then of course I'm
a coupe is classified as a two-door, yeah?
Correct.
So
Correct.
yeah, there's Jetta 4 doors all over the place.
Galore.
Yeah. 2 doors hard to find.
But that generation, the Mark II platform.
Yeah.
So 85 to 92.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't do a lot of coupes.
Okay.
So it's that, and then like I said, I found it all original, and of course I got to put my own touch on everything. So,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
it'll eventually. I have a R32, so a 3.2 liter VR6.
Oh, those are great.
6-speed trans that'll be going in it. I don't know that I'm necessarily going to do any horsepower upgrades or anything like that, just because I don't need it.
Yeah.
1,300 pound, wet and wearing boots shell.
Yeah.
What is the point?
Sure.
So,
Are you going to still be able to swap over the all-wheel drive into that? Or are you talking about the older R32?
I've thought about doing all-wheel drive.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it adds a whole nother layer of complexity. But the grand scheme goal is to be able to do road trips with my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
So when I first started building a coupe. I had a shell that I was having some title issues with.
Mm-hmm.
So then I found this one. And so I decided to use the other one as a trailer.
Oh, okay.
Most people kind of half-ass trailers when they build them. I like to build things essentially so that they look exactly like this is how it would have been made.
Like factory.
From the manufacturer.
Yeah.
I'm exactly in the same boat. Like,
If you're not going to do it like this is how it was supposed to be, then don't do it at all.
mhm.
Wood screwing your bumper on, with, stupid shit like that. I'm not into that.
Yep.
It's got to look like this is how it was built.
Sure.
So I decided that I was going to do a Mark II Jetta coupe with an R32 motor, full Recaro, all the digs, stereo, blah, 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 and then do a clone as a trailer, but build it like a teardrop.
Okay.
So
Cool.
cut out the trunk, cut out the floorboards, got rid of all the engine, got rid of the frame rails. The front fenders are still there, but they'll be adapted to more of an A-frame, so kind of Boeing.
Yeah.
But the trunk floor is cut out. There's a 30-gallon freshwater cell
Oh, that's
that'll
awesome.
be going in the floor,
Wow.
fridge and all that stuff. And then you open up the doors to the coupe and you look in and it looks like a big day bed.
Oh, wow.
So
Did you do anything with the roof line to give you a little more headroom in there, or just kind of leave it and go low?
now in reality, when you're sitting on the floor with no seats,
There's
you
plenty
don't
of
have to
room.
worry about headroom.
Gotcha.
And I'm not that tall of a person. So,
Yeah.
I figure by the time my daughter grows out of it, then,
You'll be done with it.
or once she physically grows out of it, she
Yeah.
will have mentally grown out of it too.
Right.
I don't
Yeah.
want to go on road trips with dad anymore. So.
Well, that sounds
you-
pretty cool, though.
When you first started this project, did you start like drawing it down and kind of designing it, or have you been just be like, this is what I've envisioned, and you're just going by memory and going like by feel, like what sounds or what fits?
I drew out like an overall grand scheme,
Mhm.
but the minutia of how it's going to be built, I like to do it as I'm doing it.
Mhm.
My background when I was younger was in car audio. So, actually drafting out speaker boxes, your exact build, your wiring schematics and all that. That was it's really fun in that sense, but I find that building cars, it's a lot more fun to figure out the puzzle.
Yeah.
Boom, I have a problem today.
Do a
Let's solve
physical
the
mock
problem.
up
Right.
as you're going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to mention, even with my shop, the whole idea, the whole logic is one of one.
Okay.
So my shop, I don't know if I can plug it.
Yeah, go
Yeah,
for it.
go for
Yeah,
it.
absolutely.
It's Newer Einen, newer as in like newer car, and then Einen as in one. Newer Einen, so it means only one in German.
Oh, nice.
So the fact that I stick with mainly German cars,
Yeah.
the first car that I built out of the shop was a E34 BMW that I did a E92M swap on, and that thing was stupid.
Yeah.
That was the coolest, dumbest car I've ever built.
That's awesome.
It was so fast. It was ridiculous. Twin turbo,
Yeah.
inline six.
Really fun just to go all out. Just
Yeah.
like,
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it was, and going all out was put your foot to the floor and rip the entire rear end cage off the car.
Wow.
Well,
So I'll have to cut out
Break
the
it and fix
entire
it.
floor. Yep,
Yeah, yeah.
yep. There was a problem that was created, so I had to fix that. But
yeah.
so I like doing a lot of one-off stuff. So I feel like if I draw it out, there's potential to lapse that idea into somebody else's project.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that. There's a lot of things that I do that are customary, so to speak.
Yeah.
So 2-liter swaps and rabbits, those are, man, you're making a super solid car, daily driver
Yeah.
in most cases. So I like doing that kind of stuff. But overall, like the rest of it is all one-off.
Just custom
Mhm.
stuff.
So
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah. So the Jetta is your personal project?
yeah.
Yeah.
One of, I would say, a handful.
Yeah. I was
have-
going to say, I'll bet you've got others. Like, what do you got in the
Yeah.
bag?
There, let's see. My Rabbit pickup truck, I have an 81 was a diesel,
Mhm.
and I want to return it to its former glory.
Yeah.
Only I'm doing an ALH TDI swap that just like in my Golf. So something about, just shy of 200 horsepower and 50 miles per gallon is
That's pretty cool.
That's really good.
Yeah.
That's a very lightweight unit as well.
Mhm.
So like those little Volkswagen pickups were, it was
there's
basically a
nothing to
rabbit
them.
with a bed,
Mhm.
right?
Pretty much.
So, yeah.
The whole back end of the car is, other than a gas tank, it's
Empty.
nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing back there.
So 200 horsepower. It'll
So-
scoot.
Yeah.
It took all
Don't
the
move.
weight out of it, right? You cut the roof off and you get rid of the seats and
Kinda, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's not a lot there.
that's cool.
Yeah. The one after that, and I'm probably going to build that one to get rid of it.
Mhm.
So I found that building cars and selling them is a really good way to fund my own
It
projects.
funds the next one, right?
So yeah, my day job, so to speak, pays the bills, but this pays for all the fun stuff.
The fun stuff.
Yeah.
The side gig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I have a 67 Bug that's all original. I have Mike at Reworks building me a 1902, so almost a 2-liter
Yeah.
air-cooled engine for that. So I went back and forth about doing like the Subaru, the STI swap.
A swap, yeah.
Is it better to build up because it's probably a 1.7 to build into a 2-liter?
It's actually it's a 1600. So
is it better to do that or just start with the 2-liter? Because they made I'm thinking like the Porsche 2-liter.
Okay, so in that sense, you could swap in a 2-liter. You could even swap in a 2.5.
Yeah.
For the most part, they're plug and play.
Mm-hmm.
But and I use that term a lot, and I use it very loosely.
No, okay.
Because what I think plug and play is for
not
most people is not
exactly
plug
that.
and play.
It's plug and play once you know what you're doing.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
okay.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's fair. Yeah.
Swapping from auto to 5-speed. I'm like, it's just all
yeah, just plug it
play.
in.
People are like, oh my gosh,
No,
there's
it's
so much
not.
crap. You can do.
Yeah.
So, but I'm terrible about monetizing things like that
Mm-hmm.
and describing them because I think everything is easy.
Yeah.
So mechanical.
Well, if somebody came to you and wanted to do that project, you'd be like, oh, yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
But putting a price on it, a little different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Have you ever
And
had
it's hard to price blood, sweat, and tears too.
Yeah.
So
You don't know what you're
a
gonna
lot
run
of me
into.
goes into every project
Uh-huh.
that
Yeah.
I do.
Have you ever had a project then that you've been overwhelmed by, or someone's brought to you and be like, I don't know if that, you don't think it's possible? Or is everything you're like, I can get through it, we're going to get over this hurdle no matter what?
Yes, that was actually another project that was all-wheel drive Rabbit pickup truck
Okay.
that I
All-wheel
wanted to
drive.
do
Oh,
and I was actually using a 4Motion setup out of a Passat,
Mhm.
5-speed, everything, and I really wanted to adapt everything into a Rabbit pickup truck.
Mhm.
But the more and more, conceptually, it can be done.
Mm-hmm.
The R&D it's going to take to make that come to fruition
Yeah.
is ridiculous.
Is it just because of stress in the
So-
frame or what?
No, it's structurally everything is built, for a platform,
Mhm.
right? When you're trying to take platform A and adapt it to platform C, in this case, in a Rabbit pickup truck, is more
Right.
like platform C plus D.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's much more difficult because the symmetry and geometry of everything doesn't work in your favor.
It doesn't line up. Yeah. I was
So-
going to say, isn't the.
Custom axles, you're talking custom
Okay.
knuckles,
Yep.
custom hubs. Your brake kit bolts up.
Yeah, great.
Neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
It
is
won't
that
fit
going
under
to
the truck,
attach
though.
to? Yeah.
Well, that's one
So-
in a row.
Yeah. It became something that I wanted to wide track a Rabbit and dump it on its face. That is now, I think I'm going to have to make it like all-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive-esque,
Mhm.
Okay.
which is not bad.
Yeah.
Right.
But the idea how it started out is not what it's going to end up
Mhm.
being.
Yeah.
So,
How much narrower is that truck versus?
I believe it's almost a foot and a half.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
a ton.
wow.
Yeah,
I was gonna
it's
say
like
that's-
16 inch and change.
Those little trucks were pretty small.
Yeah, they're very narrow.
Yeah.
So your shocks
So-
are going to be almost straight up and down.
Yeah.
Wow.
Whereas in a Passat, they slightly wishboned.
So just cut the truck in half and widen it out.
I legit was thinking about that.
I've actually thought of that.
Flares on it, man. That'd be badass.
Yeah. Do like a Hummer style where it's just
super wide,
like the utmost limit you can fit in a lane.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
That would be pretty rad.
Yeah.
I've seen people extend.
Never seen a Volkswagen like that before. That'd be crazy.
I've seen people extend them in the sense of extending the cab, which they always look like shit because they always use a full size cab. But it should be like a quarter cab or 3/4. You know, add some, don't add a whole.
Not the whole thing. It's not a
looks
limo.
goofy. Yeah. Right. But I've never seen anybody widen one. I mean, other than
that'd be sick.
Yeah,
would screw some fenders on and
let's get after it.
yeah.
I got a piece of sheet metal here. Let's go.
Just beat the hell out of it with a hammer for a while.
Sure.
If I bend it here, it'll look great.
It'll be fine. I got some wood glue over here. We'll just tack it together.
So with your projects, Arturo, it sounds like you do a lot of since you do a lot of one-off custom stuff. Is a lot of stuff you build in house, or do you have a lot of third parties you go and say, "Hey, I need this built, like a windshield or a fender"? Or
if it's the generic stuff or the rudimentary stuff, I guess I would say windshields, door handles, blah blah blah. I don't really. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah,
but when it comes to custom fender flares or stuff like that. Especially interior components. I like using factory components in ways they weren't intended.
Oh, yeah. That's cool.
So, one of the engines that I was building for my original truck, is a stroker motor. Mm-hmm. So it's taking components from generations all the way from 74 all the way up to, 2000.
Oh, wow.
Use a crank from an ALH TDI, use a block from a 95 GTI, use a head. They're called counterflow heads. Air goes in and out the same side versus a crossflow. So, use a counterflow head, carburate it, 32, 36 Weber kind of scenario, big cam, blah, blah, blah. And then using pistons and rods out of like a 9A, so a 16 valve motor. Yeah. So it's literally just compiling a bunch of parts.
That's crazy.
Into one engine.
That it'll all work together.
Yeah. And you end up with like a 200 on a 2-liter engine, punch it out to a 2.1 and you end up with almost a 2.3.
Wow.
Once you factor in all the stroke and compression is, ridiculous, but you're still running on pump gas because it's carbureted.
Yeah.
So it's like the best of all the little worlds.
How did you even figure out that was possible, doing a motor build like that? I mean, is that just a lot of research looking up like these parts will fit in this application? The specs are the same kind of thing, or like what even brought you to that?
A little bit of both. I mean, nowadays, like I'm old, so internet was not a thing.
Right.
The first car I built, but the first car that I ever built was, 85 GTI, Volkswagen GTI, but I swapped in a Corrado G60. So it was, stupid fast. One of my favorite stories to tell was racing an Acura NSX. Mm-hmm. And I mean, honestly, I almost had the guy too.
Yeah.
But I got a little, starstruck because it just so happened it was Phil Knight.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was over by the Hillsborough Airport, and he was going there to, go fly to whatever game or whatever he was doing. Mm-hmm. Sure enough, they're on Cornell right in front of First Tech, and I kind of pulled up next to him, and I just wanted to see what it would do.
Yeah.
A couple of vroom vrooms, and we were off. It was awesome. And he lost me in the corner. It's kind of an S curve, a little bit.
Yeah.
And he lost me in the corner there, but he was just like, Jesus, what do you have in that? A V8. And I'm looking at the guy and I almost ran into him. I was like, oh, Jesus.
I realize who you are now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was, there used to be a shop over on TV Highway that was called M&M Automotive. A guy named Nick used to own it. And, I loved going in there and sponging off all of their information and blah, blah, blah. So
soak up that knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
I had taken originally a 100 shot fogger kit
Mm-hmm.
and put it onto my 8-valve, which was ridiculous,
Yeah.
of course. So I kept melting heads. And so he was the one that actually told me, hey, if you put a Corrado G60 head on this, it's a higher flow head. They're much more resilient, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, wow, it'll fit. And then, of course, that was just like, ching. Like, now I'm just going to start, well, what else will fit on there?
Open the floodgates.
Yeah. So then it was start mixing and matching. And of course, like I say, internet is a valuable resource in that sense that you damn near with AI nowadays, you could just ask the question and it'll answer it for you.
Mm-hmm.
So,
wow.
So a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Lots of research.
Yeah.
I don't like crunching numbers so much. So I like doing guesstimations, You
ever heard of something like it was saved working, you bought the parts and then found out it's like, oh shit, this is not going to work?
Yes.
It's bound
numerous
to happen. It's bound to happen.
Numerous times. But that's, honestly, that's how I started my shop.
Yeah.
Because I used to go out and buy people out of their collections of VW parts.
Mm-hmm.
And after about the 5th time of like, hey, I want this one thing or these handful of parts.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get back and it's like, crap, this is not going to work for what I want. And then you go buy somebody else out, buy somebody's like, shit, I got to start selling this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only the downside now is that I don't sell anything.
Yeah, you just buy it.
Full
I'm going to
complete
use it. I'm going to use it.
I'll use it eventually.
Yeah. I wish I would have brought Liger today. So Liger's my 07 Mustang.
Sweet.
It's got 7 pages worth of upgrades to it, but you look at it and it looks just like a factory car.
Oh, the best.
It's not a sleeper, but it just tweaked here and there and little things. But it's made of, the whole point of the build was to build what the factory could have built. And she's a very performance-driven car, which is really good at the same time. But like if you're sitting in there, there's just pieces that work that weren't there, like parts from Explorers, parts from Fusions. And I wish I would have brought it. But that's my philosophy also is when I'm building a car, I want to look factory. And it's with Ford specifically, it's nice because they're like big Legos. You can just take pieces and they'll fit in other places.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nice.
So you were, what's your favorite build that you've done, like for yourself?
I'm a big fan of the 2-liter 16-valve motor. So honestly, my Jetta, I have a 90 Jetta GLI. It's in brilliant black. It's all original. I'm a purist in some senses, but when it comes to mechanical, I'm not. I'm far from it. Whatever upgrades I can do, that kind of thing. But, the car has to look like this is how it came.
Yeah.
So my 90 GLI is probably one of my favorites.
Yeah.
It's all upgraded to Digifont, which is just a newer fuel injection that I can stick with. It's like a 90s upgrade, basically.
Okay.
So I was a product of the 90s, so
sure.
It's kind of what I like to do.
Yeah.
So it fit.
Yeah.
Full Tektonics exhaust, big cams, that kind of stuff. And it's surprisingly like it's not that fast, but I love the car just because of all of the little details that to the layman who doesn't know this car, they would look at it like, that's cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas people that are in the community they're like, oh my God, dude, you got these windshield fins or windshield wiper fins. How'd you get the French antenna? How'd you get the faux ha wings?
Stuff they know
that is super stupid rare.
Yeah.
That they see on the car and they're like, oh my God, you got G60 flares. Like, where'd you find those?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I gotta, I hate telling people. It's like, I got a few sets. Cause then of course,
yeah.
Like, I want one.
No,
I don't.
No,
that is for a future project.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You don't tell them you have them. You just tell them what you told us. I bought a guy out of his whole collection of parts, and it happened to be in the collection.
It's pretty amazing too, because there was a lot of those people that they would buy a shell and then whatever, they needed a part for something else, so they buy a whole nother car and then part that one out. Yeah. But it was funny to see how many people had really rare parts and they had no idea.
That's the best.
None.
When you can
Those are
stumble
the
across
greatest.
that, that's just the best.
Yeah. Oh yeah. $500 for all the way. Yeah, sounds good. And you're like, wow, that one part,
It is worth it.
this one grill from Europe is $1,000.
It sounds exactly like the Fiat community.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I think
It's
there's,
crazy.
if you dig deep enough, there's those things all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
the
definitely.
people that just don't know what they have. I mean, I've run across the same thing in the motorcycle community, doing restores and stuff like that, you know, buying 2 motorcycles for the price of, you know, half of one. And you're like, oh yeah, I stole that. That's amazing. But,
Well,
it's the same thing.
In the beginning, I think for me, it was easier to buy people out of their collections because I always thought it's already taken apart. But then it was like, if I, you know, one of the first cars that I built to just flip, it had a bad transmission.
Mm-hmm.
So then it was like, well, do I want to just put the same lame transmission in this? The guy's done some motor work, port and polish, blah, 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 blah. Now let's see what else bolts up. And then it was the generation after. And the 4th and 5th gears were taller. The clutch was bigger, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, wow, there's an upgrade. I wonder if it'll bolt up.
Yeah.
Bolted right up. I'm like, sweet. Okay. Now I have a whole other car, which I hate that generation of Volkswagen. So I was like, I got zero problem sending this one to the graveyard, you know,
Sure.
Yeah.
take everything off of it that I can sell. And then,
Get rid
so
of
then it was easier to just buy a whole nother car.
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
Interesting. Yeah.
Is it pretty easy to gauge a collection? Like if someone's like trying to sell, or is it every time it takes a process?
I think after you learn, you know, in the VW community, everybody has their genres or their generations, I should say,
Sure.
of cars that they like. There's, I've noticed that, you know, the Mark III generation, say the 93 to 99 Golf and Jetta people, they tend to like a lot of the newer cars, but they don't really go the other way. They have an appreciation for the older ones, but they don't get as aggro about it.
Yeah.
Whereas the people that are the earlier generations, like I can't stand, if it looks like an electric Razor cruising down the street, like, no, I'm not in.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah.
No thanks. Old boxy cars that were not intended to be fast,
Mm-hmm.
like thumbs up. That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So especially making them fast. But when you're gauging parts, you know, the newer car people, they don't even know what to even look for. You know, there's some Euro spec parts. There's some even US spec stuff that is really, really rare that, you know, it's like, you know, I don't like that. I like round headlights on my Rabbit.
Yeah.
You know, whereas Westie, which is actually Westmoreland, Pennsylvania, they did 85 and 86 Golfs where that front end is like a small square headlight and they're stupid hard to find.
Oh, really?
Because they made, you know, say 2,000 of the cars.
Yeah, just barely a handful.
You know, every year.
Yeah.
And those were the only ones that had this grille and headlights.
Oh, wow. How long is it? I mean, how long have you been actually into Volkswagens and in that process of looking for parts? I mean, I feel like it takes years to get that knowledge, years of studying and knowing what the cars are and how many there are and where they come from. I mean, that's knowledge base built up, right? It takes forever to get that.
So for me, the first car I ever built was a 69 Bug. I got it from my brother-in-law. I worked with him all summer, you know, doing siding, busting my ass. I'd never really worked a job before that. So, like, quick background, there was nobody in my family that had graduated even high school.
Okay.
So it was super important for me and my sister to do it, let alone go to college. So they didn't let me work. So I got kind of babied in that sense. But the first car was, you know, you come work with me, I'll give you this car. And it was the ugliest thing ever. You know, it had like Baja fenders on it and this big stupid Porsche fishtail thing.
Oh, I've seen those.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
they were so obnoxious,
Yeah.
you know, like hair metal, just obnoxious.
It's about the right era.
Yeah.
No. So, I took all of the ugly off of it. I built a car from the ground up redid all the pans. So then now I was learning how to weld and all that stuff. But you start picking up the nuances of old stuff versus new stuff.
Yeah.
So in 68 and 69, those were like the best of old and new because it had an IRS rear end, but it still had the detachable front beam. So the best of both worlds in the sense where if you slam your car, your wheels aren't sitting like all these Honda kids. Like
Super
people
camber.
pay big money to do
They're not
it.
stanced.
Yeah.
Right. So they would toe in a little bit, but not as bad because it's an actual it's not a swing arm. It's an actual axle with two constant velocity joints, CV joints. So your wheels would stay straighter, so that kind of thing. But then the front beam, when they went to the Beetle or even the Super Beetle, they did more of a strut type. So in order to lower it, you can't just pull the beam rods out and re-put them in where you're slamming the front end. So it started at a real young age, like learning the
nuances,
weird details of the car. So the 69 was great in that sense. I ended up slapping like early fenders on it just because I didn't like the stand-up headlights. I like the more curved early headlights and fenders. So that kind of thing. And I built the whole thing. I was 13, 14.
It's a good age to start.
Yeah. And I built a whole car. It had, it looked like somebody had poured, like a pearl white paint over royal blue.
Oh, yeah.
So it was just like, way old school, right?
Yeah,
mini trucker kind of stuff.
Sure.
Where it just looked like it was kind of pouring off the car.
On.
Yeah. But the cool part was, back then you could go through MP and you could order, even interior kits that, however you wanted. So I told them, hey, blah, blah, blah. I want it to look like this.
Yeah.
And so sure enough, they sent me this whole kit for like $1,300 that was all the interior that matched the outside.
Well, that's crazy.
So it even wrapped around, the running paint down the car wrapped around into the door jambs and onto the actual door panels.
That's really cool.
Wow.
So, I always had kind of a good grasp of like, kind of what was cool and what was not cool even then. So the sad part is I never got to drive that car.
What?
Really?
Not even once. I had a complete 1600 turnkey dual Delorto carbs, blah, 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 everything. Bought it, showed up on a crate. We put it all in, blah, blah, blah. I used to go with my brother because obviously, 14, I was.
Yeah, he couldn't drive yet.
Yeah.
I mean.
Well, not legally, but whatever.
Right. I was going to say, I don't want to be too cliche, right? Like the brown guy with no license. But anyway, we can edit that later.
Yeah.
That's damn.
Yeah.
My brother-in-law used to take me for drives in it all the time. And it was probably, I don't know, maybe 10th or 12th time. I don't know if I've told you that story. So, over on Cornell, there's a 7-Eleven there right across from Pointer Junior High.
Okay.
So my mom used to manage these apartments there. So obviously we lived in, this god awful ugly townhouse on site, but, we used to go and cruise around there and we would always go up to 7-Eleven and get Slurpees. So, hey, let's take the bug for a drive. All right, cool. So we go up there and back then there was no, I don't know how familiar you are with it, but there was no building next to it. Now there's a building next to it.
Yeah.
So the delivery guys would pull up right next to 7-Eleven.
Yep.
And sure enough, this Sunday we go up, we park the bug out away from everybody else. No door dings, no blah, 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 blah. The delivery guy came pulling out and he turned too sharp and the trailer went right over the front of the car.
Oh,
just done. I mean, there was absolutely zero to salvage. Like we got to pull the motor out and that was about it.
Holy cow.
So he ran it over. So I never got to drive it.
Did you save the interior?
No, it was gone. Like it was
just
he drove up. It basically, car sitting here that he turned and the trailer just went right over the cabin.
Right over the middle of it.
Like it was nothing. Those things are
like in the cartoons.
Cans, right?
Yeah.
So it was crazy.
Did at least that one, after it got destroyed, did that fund the next one at least?
It funded a really fast go-kart.
Nice.
Really, really stupid fast kart. But then I set some money aside, and then I bought my 85 after a couple years later.
Yeah.
My grandmother held on to the money for me, and $3,000 back in 94, 95 was actually a lot of money. So
Yeah.
I built my 85 GTI out of that money. I think I had 5 invested because I used to compete in car audio too back then.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I built the GTI out of that. I helped other people with their cars all the time because I was 13, 14 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing full custom subwoofer boxes, amps, and alarms and stuff on all my dad's friends' rigs. So I always kind of had a little weird way to make money in that sense. But.
Well, and the whole time you're learning about this stuff too.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's just car after car, and you figuring it out and learning, working on your friends' cars and that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's really cool.
And hanging around shops too.
Right?
Yeah.
Hanging around shops.
I gotta know, how important do you think it is to have a stereo in a car?
Oh God.
Like,
if you're competing in car audio competitions, very important.
Yes.
If you're racing on a track, not so much.
Oh no, it's the most important thing.
do you mean like just a head unit or like a full-blown car stereo?
So I think like it's just any kind of sound system you should be in every kind of car, including race cars. I should probably
absolutely disagree.
Okay, I should probably.
So let me explain this for you. Grant, when he races, has to have his music up so that everybody around the track can hear him,
and he can't hear his car.
That is rad.
Yeah.
To me,
High five.
That is rad.
That is rad.
I give him a hard time.
Rob and I are in the same boat. Like, why is the radio even on? Grant, I get it. He's got to have the right music for whatever the track setup is.
When you find the right music to match the track, it's more becomes a dance, and more gets to, if you feel the flow of the track, a lot easier in my mind.
Do you feel like a certain genre of music makes you race better?
I mean, I've gone all the way from Viking metal to My Little Pony music. Like, it just, whatever it's how the track feels, it'll come to me eventually.
Like Viking metal, like Amon Amarth?
Like Man of War.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man of War.
But
okay.
Normally I listen to like anime music, or sometimes Disney comes up. Like, it literally is all over the place.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just like you're all over the map.
Exactly.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, it's awesome. It's funny.
I believe car stereo, car audio, stereo system should be in every car, but neither one of the track cars that I have had radios in them. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
so. Take that high five back.
Yeah. Yep. Retracting that now.
How come they don't have a radio in there?
The few times that I did actually track those cars, I was more worried about my driving performance, and I felt like we were making jokes about ADHD.
Yeah.
So I'm very ADHD as well. I felt like it wouldn't it wouldn't be the same effect music is normally. So I thought it would actually distract me from paying attention to the car and the sounds of the car and the engine. I wanted to make sure that I was listening to what the valves were doing, make sure I could, tell what, everything really with the car itself. Yeah. So if anything, it's funny that you mentioned it, because I even thought of putting a microphone in the car and then wearing headphones where I could hear the car better.
Yeah.
But not music.
Yeah.
Just not music.
No, I'm with you on all of that. I want to hear the motor and what the car's doing, and everything from the brakes, the clutch, the tires, on the road.
You well, to me anyway, like the cars that I raced, like one's a 79 Rabbit, and then the other one was what is it? 91 GTI. So both 16 valves, but one was carbureted with side draft carbs, and then the other one was fuel injected. But I wanted, like, that was the big thing, is I was like, man, how high can I rev this
Yeah.
on EFI?
Yeah.
Mhm.
How high can I rev it on
And
carburetor?
you want to hear that.
I
too.
want to be able to
Yeah.
hear it because you can, I don't know, maybe it's just being cheesy, but most engines are telling you
No, you're right.
whether they're happy or not.
Oh, 100%.
Most cars are telling you whether they're
Yeah.
happy or not. And it always cracks me up when I talk to people. You could tell car people from non-car people.
Mhm.
It's like, hey, my car, my check engine light came on and, I went and read the codes. It's for an O2 sensor, so I'm going to replace O2 sensor. Well, what did the code say?
Let's run too rich.
It's right. Yeah. So let me get this right. The sensor is doing what it's supposed to do, but you're going to replace it.
Well, yeah, it says it's run too rich
Yeah.
right now.
What? What is it? And then you ask them,
Yeah.
car
Well,
people,
it's
they
just
go
making
into,
the weird tick noise. They go tick, 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 but it's running fine.
right. Well, I've even asked people that. It's like, well, is it making it? Well, it hums like it's supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
Do you not know what your car
Yeah, pretty
sounds
much,
like?
no.
And no, that's the answer.
Speaking of which, me and
Well,
Rob had that incident this weekend with the brakes.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. He's like, the brakes are grinding. And I'm like, no, they're not.
It's not right.
That's what they normally sound like.
Oof.
I just put new brake rotors and pads on Liger, but the feel through the pedal and everything felt about where it was. Hearing it, I couldn't tell because it's a more aggressive pad and rotor.
Because he has his radio on too loud. He can't hear that his brakes are grinding.
Ah.
It's bad sound.
Yeah.
Did you? So, you did put the pad towards?
Mhm.
Okay.
No, he flipped him over. He thought that shiny, harder surface would wear longer.
Oh, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Take longer to
Yeah.
wear out.
Yep.
I love trying to explain that to people. It's funny. I got tired of doing general maintenance, any kind of it at all at my
Mhm.
shop, for that reason.
Yeah.
I was like, man, do I really?
You have
Nope,
to hold their hands.
I'm not going to do it. I'm not going
Yeah.
to explain it to
Yeah. So let's back up. Tell me about your track car builds.
you. So 79 Rabbit.
Yeah.
It's actually was a funny build because it was an all original car.
Mm-hmm.
It was brown on brown. I'd always wanted a brown on brown Mark I, and I ended up making it a track car because I couldn't find a wiring harness for it.
Oh, really?
So
Wow.
I ended up having to gut the whole thing. It was a piece of ABS plastic was my dashboard,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and it was a gauge cluster that was hot glued to it
Nice.
out
That's
of a 99 Golf. Just because I wanted the higher, I wanted the VR6 rev limit,
Uh-huh.
but and transmission for that matter. But the cluster from that generation is kind of ovalish,
Okay.
whereas the Rabbit, it's like a square, it's like a shoebox.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it just didn't fit. So I was like, the dashboard is all I'm keeping.
Sure.
That's it.
Yeah.
Everything else I'm just going to have to make. And it was bare bones. And it was funny because if you look at the car, it's like, geez, man, like, get some wheels on it. I'm like, okay. These
Not
are,
much there.
Mhm.
well, no, I was
Yeah.
like, these are BBS RX2s. Like, yeah, they look like shit, but
Yeah.
that's because they're not supposed to look nice.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They have a purpose.
I wanted something lightweight,
Yeah.
something if I bend a rim, I can pull the barrel off and swap it out real quick
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
because race car.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, stuff like that. The engine bay, there was nothing in it.
Yeah.
There was headlights and markers and blah, 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 but there was no bulbs. There was no even harness in there.
Yeah. Did you cage
None
it?
of that.
Wow.
Did you cage it?
It was, so when I built that, the requirements for the cage was it SEC, I forget what it is, CCIA,
hmm
for track out at PIR,
Yeah.
was different.
Mm-hmm.
And if I remember right, I think I quarter caged it or 3/4 caged it.
Okay. Yeah.
I think it was 3/4. It was basically fully caged in the back. And then I had bars that came up over the top, a crossbar.
Yeah, like
behind
a
the dash.
6-point cage.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
It wasn't the full
Yeah.
what is it? 8-point.
Mhm.
So 6-point cage. I think that is that.
I think so.
3/4.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
So yeah. And then it just had, again, it was like the paint was not pretty, blah, 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 but it had
It's a race car.
$2,000 worth of seats in it.
Yeah. Yeah. The seats are almost more
Yeah.
than everything else.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So was the intent then to do like some like
Time attack.
track days, time attack, yeah,
Lucky dog.
or
I would say probably more time attack, just because I like racing myself.
Sure, race against the clock.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm a strong believer in just elevating yourself. I don't need to be better than anybody else, as long as I was better than myself the day before.
Mm-hmm. That's
So
cool.
That's just kind of I could say that's generational, but there's people, younger people that think that way now too.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah, time attack. I went out there. I loved racing. I loved hauling ass.
Yeah.
And I knew if I did it on two wheels, I was going to kill myself.
So then how'd you get to the second build? If you already had one race car ready, what was the second one that did this first one didn't do?
I don't know that I would say it didn't do. It was more so the difference.
Mm-hmm.
So the 79 Rabbit versus the 90 GTI or 91, I think it actually is. The 91 was a little bit bulkier, but it already had all the fuel management in it. So I did subtle upgrades and then just did a bunch of motor work, gutted the whole car, same thing, 6-point cage or 3/4 cage. And the Mark II platform, so the 91, that's like I would say bread and butter, but both of them really are when it comes to the shop. But that's like, being as that was the generation of the first car that I was able to build and drive.
Yeah.
It just always stuck with me. So it was like, yeah, I got a Rabbit, but
kind of want to do
I kind of want to build one that,
Yeah.
where my heart's really at.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I built that one, and then I actually preferred the Rabbit because I think it was faster.
Really? Okay.
And it was on carbs too, which was weird. But the other one was it was right when what is that company? Fuel management, Megasquirt.
Yeah, Mega
First started coming out. So I wanted to try my hand at doing a 16 valve that was full EFI and be able to tune it and everything myself and see if I could do it. So it's no joke. People who write tunes or do tunes on cars, holy crap.
Yeah.
I've done a little bit of that when I was at Wyotech, and yeah, it was definitely challenging for a final.
Yeah, it's a bunch of X's and O's that I don't care. That's why I don't write code. No thanks.
Get the X's in the wrong place.
Yeah.
So how much?
And you can grenade stuff that way too.
Yes,
it's
you
true.
can.
Very,
Yep.
very scary.
Yeah, a little bit. How much track driving did you actually get?
Not a lot.
Yeah.
Most of the racing that I did was Germantown
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
back in the day.
You probably saw me up there then a few times.
We used to all the time. I know this is going to sound weird, but not to a dangerous level. We weren't trying to
To a
hurt
spirited
anybody
level.
else. It was just, spirited, very spirited driving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing is, like, it's, in my opinion, it's better that people are driving on the country roads away from public rather than downtown off of Columbia Boulevard or whatever.
I agree. If you're going to do it, keep it away from everybody
Keep it away
else.
from everybody else.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I can't even say how many times, Highway 26 or 30, like, you almost memorize, I would imagine that, people in kart or Indy or NASCAR, they memorize their tracks. It's like,
Yes.
it's the same out here.
Absolutely.
Back in high school, you're doing 100 miles an hour, and it's like, oh, remember that dip that's on this corner right after the,
Yep.
big oak tree? And,
Well, I've got a road out here. I'll tell you after when we're off camera, Mike. But I've got a road that if I want to test a new upgrade or car, I've driven it for so many years. I know it like every corner on that thing. Where it normally takes someone, say, maybe 15 minutes, 12 minutes at whatever speed's supposed to be. Driving it, responsibly, could be done in, a third of that.
Nice.
Yeah. But,
Nice.
it's away from public and stuff like that.
I've always been under the impression or, my opinion, of course, that aggressive drivers are far more safe than people who are too cautious. It's like the asshat that slams on his brake in the fast lane.
Agreed.
What are you doing, dude? You're going to cause an accident.
It's super frustrating too.
Yeah.
I will say this, though. I think there is a point in country driver, any kind of driving that's off the track, that when you get to a level of speed it makes more sense to start just track driving or autocross or something.
Yeah.
Because you start putting yourself at risk and the levels of danger become way more. And it's better just to take out some cones or, be in an area where, you can go faster speeds with a pavement that can take it.
Well, anybody who has a passion for cars, I think, likes to go out and get it out of their system.
Absolutely.
I used to go do the, like I say, 26 or Highway 30 and go to the beach. And it's like, work sucked today.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I'm going to go for a drive.
Take for a drive.
Yep. 30 minutes, get to the beach. All right. I'm good. I'm going to drive home.
Yeah.
Hour and a half total.
Yeah. Round trip, Which is pretty good because, anybody else, it takes them hour 15.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And you just got to get it out of your system.
Yeah.
I prefer to keep my stuff on the track. I've done a lot of track-oriented everything all my life, so I don't feel the need to do it on the roads. I know it happens all the time, and it would be fun. There's roads I drive that I'm like, man, this would be great to really get after it.
Well,
but I'm also always worried about the other guy.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You come hauling around a corner, and there's somebody going 15, even in a 55, and it's too late. You're screwed.
That's why one of the reasons when I do that kind of driving, it's always at night. Is that you have animals and stuff, but if you stick to roads that are more cliff based,
I don't think that makes it better.
Well, the other thing is, if you're at night, you're going to see lights before anything else.
If they're on.
Tail lights.
Yeah.
So I still don't think that
What
makes
if they're
it better.
sideways across the road?
Yeah. Somebody pulling out of a driveway.
Mm.
So.
I think now that I've gotten older, it's especially with a daughter, that I'm done with all that.
Right. Yeah.
I like
Take it to the
know that I can go fast.
Yeah.
But I rarely ever do it.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think the fun moments for me are like scaring the shit out of my daughter's mom. So it's actually one of my funniest stories as of late. Was over by Washington Square on Hall Boulevard, and they're doing a bunch of construction there, so everything kind of minimizes down to one lane.
Yeah.
And we were in the Gulf, and my daughter's used to riding with me everywhere. When we go
she knows what you're doing.
to meets, to car shows, blah blah blah. She's always strapped into a 5-point harness. She's locked into the car, as safe as possible. But I'm doing 90 occasionally. I won't get into triple digits. Just the headache from that on the legality side is just really bad.
Yeah.
So, but she likes driving fast, and I like driving fast every once in a while. Anyway, so we were out there, and we were merging, and some lady in this, Grand Voyager decided that she was going to wait till the absolute last second to get over.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Which naturally meant that she was about 2 seconds away from running into me. So I just kind of gunned it. Stomp on the gas and it put everybody's head in the seat.
Yeah.
It's not a super fast car, but for a diesel that gets almost 50 miles per gallon, it's quick.
It does okay.
So 270 wheel torque. I think I was telling you guys
Yeah.
about that. It's about 160, 170 horse.
Yeah.
So 4-cylinder. It's awesome. But yeah, put everybody's head in the seat, and her mom just loses it. She's just, Jesus, every time I ride with you, I feel like I'm going to die. And I'm like, well, if I wouldn't have done that, like, the lady would have hit us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was exactly my thought. And I'm like, right as I'm ready to open my mouth and tell her this, my daughter from her car seat, you just don't know what it's like to be in fast cars, Mom. And I'm like, oh, fucking air high five. I love you.
Give me
You're
some
totally my kid. You're
Yeah.
totally my kid.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
You just don't know what it's like to be in fast cars, Mom.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me about your shop and doing projects for somebody else. Does it make you, like, if you're doing a really cool project, does it make you want to have that for yourself?
I make a joke all the time that usually when I see stuff, I'm like, wow, that looks badass. This is awesome. This looks great. Oh, do you want to buy? No, I don't want to put it on my car.
I just think it's really
but
cool.
I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of those builds.
Nice.
Anything that I do for myself, I won't do for anybody else.
Uh-huh. You don't want to
Not because
duplicate it.
Yeah, I don't want it to become the norm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One of the stickers, I had a bunch of stickers made when I first started the shop, and one of them that I made was, it's a sticker and it's just UN and then it's a dash and then it's SCENE, unseen.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing that drives me crazy about the car realm nowadays is you have to fit into this box. You have to fit the scene. You have to have your wheels looking like a dipshit, or you have to have your car so low that it's undrivable or, things like that. And people do that. They don't do it because they like it.
It's because the other guy
do it
did
because it's part of the scene.
It's cool.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was the whole logic with, the unseen stickers is stop. Just do you. Don't do what everybody else does. So when I build stuff, I'll take their ideas into consideration, but overall, at the end of the day, the final say is me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The car's going to have my name on it, my stamp on it. It's going to be me. So if somebody wants to do some wild, crazy body kit from an MR2, they're, whatever. I don't even, Mark V GTI, I'm not in. I'm sure somebody will do it.
Yeah.
Not going to be me. I don't want to do it. Not only do I think that would look stupid, but the ways to make that happen are just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, like I say, I'm a purist in some senses, but when it comes down to it, the car's got to look like this is how it was built.
What's your stance then on, say, kit cars then?
Honestly, anything that is built, that is handmade, is built and handmade.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care, if somebody has, my old brother-in-law has a Cobra,
mm-hmm.
and he's part of this Cobra club. And he talks about his own creation
mm-hmm. in
a sense that he's talking down about it. And it's like, dude, you still have a freaking Cobra, man.
Yeah.
Like whether it's in a, 2-spec original, whatever. You think, the majority of people that are out there seeing your car, they don't care. No. That's just a freaking Cobra driving down the street.
Yeah. Yeah, they see it. Is it cool? Yeah, that's what awesome. They care about. And, original or not, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Is it cool?
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So when I do adaptations of things, taking, I built this diesel Rabbit for this guy up in Seattle that he wanted to go cross country with his wife. And which is kind of what sparked my idea for the Mark II, for the Jetta Coupe.
Yeah.
He wanted to go cross country. So he took heated power seats out of a, what was it? A 2013 Jetta. And he's like, I want all this in here. It's like, I want power door locks and power windows and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, it's a 76 Rabbit, dude.
Yeah.
Like, that stuff, okay, but
it's going to take some doing.
Yeah, it's going to take some doing. And I told him, I was like, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but, just get ready with the checkbook.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tax you right out of the gates, but there's going to be stuff that comes up that is, it's going to be ridiculous. It's going to take me 2 weeks to get one stupid thing to work right.
Yeah.
So the power windows in this sense were exactly that.
Yeah.
I had to take power windows out of a Suzuki Sidekick.
Oh, really? Wow.
Just because it was the only thing that was that flat and narrow that I could adapt.
Fit it into the door.
To fit in the door.
Oh, wow.
Huh.
So.
How did you, something like that, again, like we were talking about earlier, how did you think of how to put that in there? Like that I understand Volkswagen, understand that, but that's like a...
completely different.
Yeah, completely different.
Believe it or not, when I first started getting into cars, I've always had Volkswagens. Like my 85 was the first car I ever built, but I was big into never had the money for it, but I was big into the lowrider scene.
Mm.
So a lot of my buddies, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, they were all, hydraulics and wire wheels and Cadillacs and Monte Carlos. And so, one of my buddies had actually built a Suzuki Samurai.
Mm-hmm.
And it was always the coolest thing because he had full white leather interior in this thing.
Wow.
Oh, it was obnoxious.
Wow.
And the thing was tangerine.
Oh my gosh.
With white leather interior.
It's a creamsicle.
Oh my God. It was, and I thought for sure that, that would be somewhere on it. The creamsicle, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It was hilarious. His license plate said tips easy. Which was always a funny joke
Sure.
because everybody used to four-wheel drive those
Yeah,
things.
Yeah.
They'd fall over. Well, his would tip easy because he had hydraulics on it. Like
Oh,
you could
man.
hop all four wheels on it. But so I came up with that idea just from back in the day. I remember he installed Suzuki Sidekick, which is like the upgraded version
Mhm.
of a Samurai, if there ever was a thing.
Sure.
And they had power windows. And so he took those and adapted them. And so, here we are, 10 years later, 20
Yeah.
years later, I was like, oh man, I wonder if those would work. And so I went to the scrapyard and I just gutted, the rails, the
window tracks.
mechanism.
Yeah.
I'm forgetting what it's called.
Regulator.
There we go. Gutted the regulators just to see if they would fit. And sure enough, they fit. And so then I went online and I just ordered some brand new ones. And
Oh,
installed switches and blah, blah, blah. It worked great.
Nice.
that's funny. That's really funny.
Yeah. Kind of weird. So that's one of those things where it's like you can do all the research in the world, but experience got me that one,
Right.
just because I'd been there, done that.
Yeah. You had that in
So-
the back of your mind. You're like, what might work?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just pull that out.
And it helps.
And the
not even-
junkyard saves the day again.
Oh yeah. Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Because the pick and pull wasn't there. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
There's so many things where it's like, I would have had to pay full price.
Sure.
True.
Shit. That didn't work.
Oh. Yeah. At least you could test it on the
Mhm.
cheap one first,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Oh, that's good.
$5 for a regulator versus I think it cost me $120 each.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So it was like,
Makes a
I'm
difference.
glad I found these. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to drill some holes and make things fit, but
Mhm.
But not so bad. Yeah.
not as bad anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
How often would you say you would go to a junkyard for a customer car, whether that's figuring out like a mock-up like that or actually need a part?
If it was mechanical parts, I typically wouldn't go there. But body panel pieces, trim, especially if people got, like if I saw, what was that, row 52 or whatever, certain cars would pop up. Well, you could tag yourself where they would message you.
Oh.
And then, a couple of 20 spots here and there to the guys behind the counter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, let me know if any old V-dubs come in.
Oh.
And they would text my shop. They would let me know when
that's a
something
good
came in.
idea.
So then I would go there and it's like, all right. And then I just grab the wheelbarrow and I'll
Go load up.
I'll strip it. I mean, bare. Because you can't buy a whole car there.
Yeah.
And as
Right.
much as I hate seeing old cars in general go to the graveyard, but especially when it's a passion project, something like that. So old VWs go to the scrapyard. Like I would hate it, but you can't buy it.
Yeah.
They won't let the VIN
they
out
won't
of
let
Right.
it go because they've already toasted the title or whatever
Yeah.
they
Right.
do with the VIN number.
Right.
I went to one where there was a 74 Fiat X19. So I'm restoring one of those and it's a very rare Fiat, like finding a split window Corvette equivalent.
Mhm.
And I got what I needed off it, but I knew there was a lot more good parts. And I went back to that junkyard, I think 4 times, and that was the Vancouver one. So I actually had to go out of my way to there. But every time I would go, I would constantly update a Fiat form to let people know, hey, this is here. What do you need? What's going on? Because,
Oh yeah.
if you couldn't take the whole car, you need to take the parts off it for people. Like 90% is different than every other year.
Oh, it's funny. When I first started the shop, I was with my daughter's mom and she never understood. She's like, why do you just keep buying more and more stuff? And I'm like, because there's always that diamond in the rough where you're going to come across this, crazy hood scooped,
Yeah.
Mark II GTI that somebody did some crazy hood on that somebody's got to have.
Mm-hmm.
And you sell that one part and it just paid for all the rest of them.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So then it just became a thing where it was like, I just kept doing it over and over again. So,
What's the best diamond you've ever found?
Deep question.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah, I gotta
That
think
was a
about that.
thinker.
I gotta think about what world, cause I came across, I could come up with probably top three.
Top 3 then.
Top three.
Okay.
So, Jetta Coupe,
Mm-hmm.
it was a 90 Jetta Coupe. So big bumper, big doors. But it was VR swapped. It was, all wheel drive and, turbo.
Okay.
So this thing
Wow.
was stupid. 550, I was guessing.
Wow.
They had punched out the firewall. They cut out the rain tray to get
Oh.
this turbo to fit. It was crazy. But you look at the car and it was just, oh, it's another Mark II that's 5-lug swapped.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Then you open the hood and,
Yeah.
holy grail of, of car. And then, of course, finding out that it was all-wheel drive, too. Well, some kid bought it from somebody up in Washington, and he couldn't get it to start.
Oh,
and
wow.
That
I was
it?
like,
What?
okay, what happened? What led up to this? And he's like, I just don't want to deal with it anymore. I just want it gone. I'm like, okay, well, your asking price is pretty low. Are you sure there's nothing else? I'm always the skeptic.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing else wrong with it. He goes, no, I can't get it to start. Blah, blah. There was a bunch of work done to it. Blah, blah. So clearly he just didn't care.
Yep.
Yeah.
I got in there and I realized almost immediately what the problem was. And there was actually 3 problems. One was a grounding strap was cut. And I think it was because he kept dropping the clutch. And so it ripped it off the transmission. Well, German cars are notorious for bad grounds anyway. So anyway, but he, in the midst of doing that, he cooked his front motor mount, which in turn cocked the starter's cable, the whole harness.
Oh, interesting.
He bent it.
Yeah.
So it was actually bent to the point where it was pulling the, the ignition wire that actually activates your starter.
Yeah.
Pulled it out.
Oh, wow. So it really wasn't that
So
big.
let me go ahead and just give you your money, and
here you go.
you grab the title, and I'll just take it. I'll load it up on the trailer. And he goes, oh, okay. So we did all the work, and I shoved the title in my back pocket, reached under the hood, and I plugged the freaking starter in and
Started it.
Drove it up onto the
home.
trail.
Drove it home.
You did that right in front of him?
Right in front of him. I felt so bad, but that's one of those things where it's like, dude, this is a learning lesson.
Yeah.
Like, and your dad's standing right there, bro. Like,
That's awesome.
this is shit he should be teaching you, not me.
Wow.
His dad
So-
was probably
Wow.
embarrassed too.
Oh yeah,
Oh.
and I'm pretty sure they paid $10,000 for this car, and I bought it for $2,500.
Wow.
Dad's just like, get
So-
rid of it.
Yeah, he just wanted it gone.
Yeah.
And another one was Mark IV. All the badges were shaved off of it. It was really weird, and I was like, well, it's okay. So it's a Jetta, no
Yeah.
big deal. Turns out it was a GLI, so it had all the GLI interior, all the bells and whistles, blah blah blah. Sure enough, the guy, he's like, I think I blew the head gasket. And I'm like, okay, well, it's a 1.8T. You know that this is, a turbocharged car, blah, blah, blah. I said, your turbo could just be bad. I said, you really think? No, it's the head gasket. It won't go anywhere. And was it blowing smoke? And so this is another one of those things where it's like people just, they go online and, hey, what do you think is wrong with this?
Yeah.
Oh, it's probably a head gasket. So then they
And they're
just stick with the head
fixated.
gasket.
Yeah.
They don't bother any of the warning signs, not blowing smoke, coolant in the oil or oil in the coolant. But they don't check any of that. It's just a head gasket.
Just whatever.
So I went up to Vancouver and got this car. The guy had actually bought it from Oregon, so it had an Oregon title still. He says, yeah, it's a bad head gasket. The guy sold me a lemon, blah, 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 blah. $1,300, you can take it.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, okay. So I start looking through it, and he met me at this, I don't know, in front of some pawn shop, which was kind of weird, but, so I go and meet him and blah, blah, blah. I had my friend drive me up there, and we're in the truck. And, I look underneath the car, and I gave him his money. He gives me the title. And another instance, and I look under the car, and the boost tube popped off.
Oh, my
Oh,
gosh.
wow.
That was it. Yeah, it wouldn't go anywhere, dipshit.
Well, yeah,
because
you got no.
it's not, there's no boost.
Oh, my gosh.
Which was right at what is referred to as N75. So it's basically at the boost, one of the 3 boost controllers,
Yeah.
Mhm.
sensors, and the just popped off on the charge pipe, basically.
Please tell me
So
you
after
pushed
the
it back
intercooler-
on, fired it up, and drove
Drove
off.
it home.
Oh, that is amazing.
Wow.
Was
Drove
he
home.
still there?
Both of those cars, no, he'd already left. He messaged me and he's like, hey, man, I'm sorry if there's anything else wrong with it. So I think he knew that it was not a head gasket. He didn't know what it was, but he thought it was something worse.
Mhm.
Oh,
And I'm like, both of those cars, I didn't even get them home. And they were sold.
Wow.
oh, wow.
So the Jetta Coupe, $2,500, and I ended up selling it to a buddy of mine for $6,000. I never even took it home.
Wow.
I literally just drove it straight to his house. Dude, look at this. And he's like, I'll give you $6,000 for it right now.
It's sold.
All right. The
Yep.
nice part is the title's right here.
Here you go.
Here you
Done deal.
Let me write another bill of
Yep.
sale and sign this and hand it
go.
right over to
Handed
you.
it to him, and that was done deal. And then the 1.8T, my sister, she ended up buying it. She was like, hey, I just called me on my way home. It was random. And called me on the way home. She said, hey, do you know anybody who's got a good car? And Well, funny thing.
Yeah, I just picked one up.
Yeah, I just got one. This thing's nice and solid. She drove it for 5 years while she was in college.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Sold the car for what she bought it for 5 years prior.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Yeah, love
But she
that.
was very meticulous. So she took super good care of this
Yeah.
car.
Yeah.
But plus, a Mark IV
Still, that's
GLI
good.
was actually a really, really nice car.
Yeah.
And then the other one was a all-wheel drive Rabbit pickup truck. And it's actually funny that that I found that. I came across this deal when I started working with this gentleman.
Mm-hmm.
One of the guys on our team is also a big VW nut, and he bought this as a project. It had full tubed rear end.
Oh, wow.
Like they did this right.
Yeah.
It's an all-wheel drive setup done right. But he started getting into it and was just like, I just kind of want a Rabbit pickup truck.
Mm-hmm.
Only I want that motor in this. And we started talking and he was like, how about you do this and I'll just give you all of that.
All right.
Done.
Yeah.
Done. So that one, I didn't even have to fork out money. It's just going to cost me time. And the guy's not even in any hurry.
Nice.
Josh.
You're still working
Anderson.
on that one.
Oh, yeah.
He's not in any hurry. No, I haven't even gotten the car over to my.
Oh, wow.
He's ready for me to take the all-wheel drive Shell VR6 motor and the 2 liters that go with it.
Yeah.
To get them out of there. And he's like, you can start this other project just whenever.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, let me finish up these 2 customer cars that I got.
Yeah. It's on my timeline.
Yeah.
So is that ever a problem? Like, obviously you do your projects at your shop because that's convenient.
Mm-hmm.
But is there ever a customer car in there and you're like, I just want to work on mine. I don't want to do this.
I'm actually going through that right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going through that right now. But it's a guy, his name's Alex. He's super, super chill. He put down a hefty deposit for me to build him an old Rabbit. And it was right at the beginning of COVID.
Oh,
And then throughout COVID, he's like, don't bother.
really?
I had to go back to doing general maintenance during COVID because, nobody wanted custom cars at that point.
Yeah.
I had, $15K in jobs cancel in 2.5 months.
Yeah. That's
Wow.
Between December and March,
yeah. It was just
15
like,
grand.
ugh.
And I, all of these people, at that point, I always tell people when I sell a car, if I'm going to build them something, I want to interview them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because I'm not going to do work for people that I don't think will appreciate it.
Yeah.
Again, it goes back to the scene thing, like scene kids.
Right.
I'm not going to bother with you.
Right.
You guys are going to go out and destroy whatever it is I build. So
Yeah.
no thanks.
Go learn your lessons somewhere else and then
Mhm.
come to me once you've grown up.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I learned that lesson earlier. There was a motorcycle company, BMC Choppers, out of Bend, and I got financed to buy a motorcycle from them. 15 grand for a custom built chopper, and I
Yeah.
got to design all of it and da-da-da. And the guy says, okay, your bank said yes, everything's ready to go, blah, blah, blah. So when do you want to come and pick it up? And I was like, you guys offer delivery?
Mm-hmm.
And there was a very long pause. Is that a no? And he goes, no, we offer delivery for sure. But somebody who just spent 15 grand on a motorcycle, they usually want to ride it home. And I told him, well, I don't know how to ride. I don't know how to ride a motorcycle. I was like, this was going to be my first bike.
Mm-hmm.
And lesson learned right there, because he said, I'm not going to sell you this bike.
Wow.
And I was like,
Yeah.
what? He goes, I'm not going to sell you a bike. He goes, go out and buy a, 750 Yamaha POS,
Mm-hmm.
lay it down 20 times, then come back and I'll sell you your bike.
Yeah.
And so that
This is
just
not a
kind of
beginner
stuck with
bike.
me. Yeah,
Yeah.
it stuck with me. It's like they didn't want to waste time knowing that
You
I
were
might
gonna wreck it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm going to wreck it. I'm going to wreck it. They knew it. And he knew it. He's like, I've seen this happen, 50 times where it's
There's
like, we're done doing this.
There's only
Yeah.
2 kinds of riders:
Mm-hmm.
those who have gone down and those who
Mhm.
will.
Mm-hmm.
And so that logic stuck with me. So it's even if I do work for people or if I sell people cars, like it's at some point your value system has to supersede. I've always told myself that once my once my honorability, once my dignity, once my respect gets outweighed by some monetary value,
Right.
I was done. I didn't want to be in business anymore
Yeah.
because you're not doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know, there's plenty of asshats out there that'll just go and build whatever
Bang it out for a
and
buck.
do it for $1.
It's like, oh, well, let's swap it. Well, let's swap that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, or people, the mind changers are the worst too, because they think that just because they keep throwing money at you, that it's like easy to rearrange or fix what it is you're doing. It's like, no, I had a plan, man.
Yeah.
We had a
This
plan.
starts
This is what
from
I
the
was building.
beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it starts
There's a
fresh in your
process
mind
here.
right in the beginning.
Yeah.
And there's a process to everything.
Yeah.
So, it reminds me of that lady, I'm a big movie guy. So what was that? Sleepless in Seattle, where the Tom Hanks character, he's renovating the lady's house where she keeps changing her mind.
Right.
And so they have to keep moving the cupboards.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it reminds me of that. And I even say that where people don't get it. I'm like, yeah, it's like them cupboards.
Yep.
And people are, what the hell is
What
that?
covers are you talking
never
about?
mind.
Yeah.
Just, it's a movie reference. Sorry.
The Sub-Zero.
Well, we make movie references all the
refrigerator.
time.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So
Been a while, but I remember that movie. How's your time? I don't want to.
No. I'm good.
We're
I'm
good?
Yeah.
We'll keep going then.
Good for now.
Okay.
All right.
I think when we started, he told me 8:00, so he could.
He
have
had an out.
I
So
don't.
I could what?
I think you were trying to give me an out. Like, if I don't like this, I'm fucking out of here.
No, I feel bad because I'm on vacation, right? And I'm supposed to be doing stuff with my daughter, but in reality, we sat at the shop all day today.
Yeah.
So I just feel bad because I know she's chilling, waiting for me. But
She's probably watching TV.
but yeah. Well, not to mention, I'll be able to she'll be able to hear this.
Yeah.
And be like, hey, this is Dad talking about
That's what
cars.
we did.
Because she likes to listen to me talk about cars.
Nice.
Her mom absolutely does not.
Oh,
Her
well,
mom
then
doesn't
your
even-
daughter needs to listen to it in front of her.
And I want her to listen about cars because I don't want her to have to find somebody like me.
We're gonna give you stickers before you leave. Then
No,
Oh, we got
There's
some
a
of those
couple
over
up
here.
there, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, she'll listen for sure. But I want her to know, I'm atypical dad. I want her to be able to change her own flat tire and figure out why her car's not starting.
It's awesome
and blah, blah, blah.
stuff.
So
Honestly.
it's invaluable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
And it's
Telling her
So
boyfriend,
much-
your car sounds retarded.
Yeah. Why are the wheels tilted like that? That looks dumb.
Yeah.
What are you
Oh, yeah.
doing?
She says she's 7. She'll be 8 in December, and she says that stuff now.
Oh, that's great.
We'll drive by, and what does she call them? She calls them Tonka trucks. The big lifted,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
brodozer with the freaking
Yes.
rubber band tire
Yeah.
on the 26-inch
26. Yeah.
dude. And she's
Never
like,
seen
Dad,
it.
why does that look so stupid? I'm like, oh, I love you so much.
Never seen an
I love
inch
you so
of
much.
off road at all.
Ever,
Exactly.
ever.
You never will.
If
Pavement
anything, I
queens.
mean, street queen for sure, but
Yeah.
if anything, a trailer queen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And those are gross. And, that actually came from my roots too in the lowrider scene. Like all of us, we drove our cars to shows.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You spent the night before, plugging PBRs, wiping every inch of your car down because you
Yeah.
just drove that mofo there.
Inside and
And
out.
you're about to show it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. You
Yeah.
got the Q-tips out and the whole bit.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
That's some serious stuff.
good times. And then you're drunk
Can't
by
be.
the end and you wake up the
Oh,
next
it's
morning.
perfect.
And you're like, oh, shit, man, I forgot the whole panel.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, you fell asleep right there, bro.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So funny.
So, being a VW guy through and through, is there pros and cons to that? Like being associated with a brand?
I think going back to the scene logic, being associated with a brand is bad. Because Honda kids hate VW kids who hate, BMW kids.
Why has it got to
who
be
hate-
like that?
To me, it's stupid. A car's
Yeah.
a car.
Yeah.
So,
Appreciate everybody. Why not?
exactly. And everybody's differences.
Yeah.
Much like I said, it's like, wow, that looks badass. Well, you want to buy, no,
No, I just like
that's
it.
cool on
Yeah.
your car,
Yeah.
but I don't want that on my car.
Yeah.
This is not my thing, but it looks awesome. But that's also being rooted, my uncles when I was younger, were old hot rod guys.
Yeah.
The old lead sleds and, they drove the old school 60s and 70s rides that were, to me, those were like, old school muscle cars and
Yeah.
badass.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then you started getting into the newer stuff, Kids nowadays are like, that's old school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like listening to a classic rock and hearing Nirvana. Like, what the hell just happened here?
Oh my
yeah.
God.
Like, good Lord.
Nirvana is classic.
Wow.
Wow.
So, back then, nobody associated a certain make or model, other than Ford and Chevy. I think that's always been a thing.
Always.
Since their inception.
Throw a Mopar in there and yeah.
Oh, yeah. And it's over.
Yeah.
It's over. I actually have a customer that's a big Mopar guy that he built an old 65 Dodge Dart that I did some work on.
Nice.
No.
I mean,
Really?
Just only because the things he did were horrible.
Like
oh,
what?
that's too bad.
Like putting fucking racing seats in that car. Why?
Instead of the bench seat?
You can put
what was he
buckets
doing
in
with
it,
Well,
but
Oh, you mean like actual racing?
actual racing seats in a weekender
it's not a drag
daily
car.
drive,
It's
not a drag car, not a
Yeah.
race car.
I find that
It
to be kind
looked
of
like
useless.
shit.
Yeah.
And he made me do these custom brackets. And I mean, they looked great in the car.
Yeah.
And then you kind of pan backwards and look at the car and it's like, wow, that looks like crap.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So
Yeah.
definitely there. But yeah, being associated with brands, VW people, there used to be like an aura that came with VW people, especially with older VW people.
Mhm.
Everybody helped each other.
Yeah.
Most of the coolest memories that I had from when I was younger, started driving, were stuff like that. Somebody's bus broke down.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, there's 3 guys pulling the engine out, and they're fixing it on the side of the
On
road.
the side of the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like maybe I kind of feel this way? Volkswagen community, older stuff, I don't know how it is for the newer stuff, is actually pretty strong. Like if you've got that, it's almost like a brotherhood, right?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
You've got that bond instantly because you're in the same circle.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm.
definitely. But and actually, just to I guess kind of answer that, older stuff or the older generation, the people who admire
Yeah.
air cooled and early water cooled cars,
Yeah.
that is them.
Yeah.
New stuff.
Not so much. Yeah.
So,
I don't want to
get
help you
into-
change your tire.
Yeah. You get into a
Yeah,
different
stuck in the-
generation and
yeah.
their mindset is
They don't
different.
care.
Isn't
They
that
don't care.
weird?
And they think custom is putting a
Mud flaps.
prefabricated speaker box
Yeah.
and wheels and
Right.
airbags,
Yeah.
and now it's a custom car.
Sure.
mhm.
Well, what else
How?
did you do?
Yeah.
Like
What,
it's
is there
factory
anything else?
paint. It's factory paint.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
Putting a bunch
It's
of
so
bolt-ons
lame.
on your car is not
No.
customized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
no,
That's interesting.
no.
Is the
And-
community the same? Because Volkswagen owns now like Porsche, Lamborghini, Audi. Is the
Mhm.
community still feel the same in those combined, especially like the older generation?
I don't think the older generation pays attention to it.
Nope.
It's,
I know.
It's not even.
I know. I don't. Yeah.
Mhm.
It doesn't affect them, right?
Mhm.
Because is
Because
it
they're not looking at the new shit, right?
right?
Mhm.
They're looking at Mark IIs and
Mhm.
older.
Right.
Mhm.
Can you even buy aftermarket, like new aftermarket parts for those cars?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They're getting more rare. Of course, body kits and things like that are
hmm
very scarce.
Mhm.
Unless of course you go to my storage and then it's, wow, dude, you got dude. Yeah, it's everywhere. Yeah. Don't ask me if it's for sale because no.
Is that a...
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can buy it, like, especially mechanical stuff, new control arms, new
Okay.
bushings,
Yeah.
There's some stuff that buying new isn't as good as the old spark plugs, for instance. They didn't have iridium
Yeah.
in the
Mhm.
90s.
hmm
No.
It was double platinum silvers.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
And you put iridiums in your old 16 valve car and it actually runs like shit.
Interesting.
So
Yeah.
running old stuff or original stuff, OEM spec, is actually more beneficial.
No, the car was designed for that.
Or,
Yeah, but then doing like strut mount bushings or control arm bushings or sway bar bushings, blah blah blah. They didn't have polyurethane back then.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
doing all of that stuff now is way more beneficial.
Yeah.
So then it's just nitpicking into, the details of it. But
What about like older like tech side, like when it comes to like Bosch fuel injector system and timing and stuff like that?
believe it or not, I actually have a couple of shops down from me The guy's got God, I forget what year it is. 9/11. It's
Like a 70s, 80s.
I think it's a 75.
Okay.
I know it's one of those very iconic generational, iconic years. I think it's a 75.
Air cooled.
Air cooled.
Big ducktail.
And it's an S. So it is 911 Carrera S.
Okay.
So it's 6, flat 6. But the fuel injection system is exactly like an old Volkswagen.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
So
that's fantastic.
he couldn't get his car to run, and it's funny. To me, it was funny because he didn't want me to touch his car.
Yeah.
Hey, this motor's never been out of this car.
Yeah.
I was like, I thought you said this thing was wrecked. And he goes, yeah, well, it was fender damage or whatever. He goes, the motor's never been out. And I wasn't grasping what he meant by that. He just kept repeating, the motor's never been out. The motor's never been out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, if you want me to figure out what's wrong, we need to take the fuel management system apart. It'll fire up for a second, but it doesn't keep running. Sounds like something with the old school. It's called a CIS system, continuous injection. So it's essentially taking a carburetor and splitting it into two.
Oh,
So you're taking a carburetor and making it electronic fuel injection.
Wow.
So you have a warm-up regulator, which is almost like a cold start valve nowadays. And then you have your fuel distributor that is located away from the actual intake manifold.
Oh.
But you have separate injectors and lines, and it's all run on vacuum. So it's a super easy system to diagnose when there's something wrong. Unless you can't take anything apart.
Yeah.
Then it's like, how do you want me to figure this out if you don't want me to remove anything?
And that was his whole thing. Since it's never been
It's
apart,
never
he
been
thought
out of
it
the
was
car.
worth more
Right.
in that.
And I'm like, okay. So, and that was funny. That was the logic for me. He thought that Volkswagen and Porsche were so different. And I was like, I'll literally go get you the book for Volkswagen, and the fuel distributor, the CIS box, is exactly the same. I think it's even the same part number as the one that's on your Porsche.
Wow.
So they all run the same. They're all
probably has a VW stamp on it.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
It does. Most of the parts in the engine bay. The intake manifold was all the same because the old Vanagons ran V6s too. Or not V6s.
Porsche
Flat sixes.
Porsche 924 had a VW motor in it.
Yep.
All those. So a lot of those parts are interchangeable, but the funny part is, like, people get aggro when they don't realize that a lot of this stuff is all the same. So I guess, I don't know if that directly answered your question, but
I don't even remember the question at this point.
Mine was asking, like, if how it was because you're saying, like, the Volkswagen community is more like kind of like a brotherhood. If the Porsche and, like, the other subsidiaries of Volkswagens, how they are, like,
Combined in that.
Yeah.
they do. I always look at things too in the grand scheme of things, like with engines. All engines require the same three things. Air, fuel, and spark.
Yep.
Period. Engines don't function.
Suck, squeeze,
without
bang,
those.
blow. 4.
Wait,
Not really.
You have to have.
I mean,
was always taught.
it's funny, but no.
Oh.
I mean,
Took me
It's
a
the blow part is a byproduct of the suck, squeeze, bang.
suck, squeeze, bang. That's funny.
Because it
That'd be
comes
funny
down in the
sticker.
cylinder, suck, and then it squeezes by compression,
Yep.
and then the spark ignites at blow,
No,
Or-
that's the bang.
bang, and then blows. It comes
Exhaust.
I think as a description for a complete 4-stroke
Cycle.
cycle,
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be perfect.
Sure.
But yeah, I always look at things in the grand scheme. Like, all engines require the same things. It's just their delivery of said
Yep. How they go
individual
about
items
it.
Yeah.
is what differs.
Yeah.
So people always try to, different companies try to adapt and make what wasn't fast faster, or
Right.
what wasn't efficient more efficient. But
But when they screw with something that already works
yeah,
and make it more complicated to accomplish the exact same thing, that's frustrating.
it's funny, actually, back to another question you asked. So the old school 8-valve engines that were the block, for instance, that was in, like, say, a 74, 75 Rabbit, you could take a 2-liter head from a 99 and slap it on
Bolt
there,
it right on.
and it'll bolt right on because
That's nuts.
why change what isn't broken?
Wow.
Sure. Yeah.
It's exactly
Castings are the same.
The
The
head
bolt patterns are the
gaskets,
same.
everything.
That's
Yeah.
nuts.
They change
It's
material
cool at the same time.
but the
Yeah.
patterning, everything is all the same. The
Yeah.
cam setup,
Like, yeah,
all
it
of
works. Just keep
Yeah.
going.
The Ford 2.3 Chevy 350s.
Hmm?
Yeah.
I mean,
Mhm.
Yeah.
they did those for years.
Yeah, but those were all the same motors. I mean, he's
Decades.
kind of talking about they're actually different motors, but alternate parts fit on them from
Mhm.
something else. So that's
Well, I think I was telling you a couple of weeks ago at work about about Ford doing the having that VR6. It was like a weird VR6 crossover thing that they did with Volkswagen, where their trucks actually had, because it's the intake manifold and everything is off of a Ford, and the head and everything.
Like in the 4.0s, I think.
I don't know Ford enough to know what it came off of.
Okay.
I just know that it was a crossover because I see guys at shows. I'm like, where in the hell did you get a valve cover that says Ford?
Okay.
Huh.
Like this was an engine.
Yeah.
Are you serious? And yeah, sure enough. And it was in trucks.
Wow.
They did a transverse. No. It was inline engine, but it was a single block, single head, 6-cylinder that was not in line.
Yeah, they were staggered.
Yeah, they were staggered. So it was essentially a VR, a staggered
Mhm.
6-cylinder.
yeah,
It was the craziest thing. I didn't know that.
that's cool.
I'm trying
So-
to think. Yeah. Huh.
Kind of weird.
Yeah.
Actually, surprisingly, there's a lot of people that I know that are Volkswagen fans that are also Ford fans.
Really?
So,
Got to tow
Yeah,
your car
don't-
with something.
Yeah, exactly.
so I always tell people about the Tahoe. The only reason why I have it is to tow all the
Ooh.
cars when I break them.
That was a segue.
Was it?
Yeah.
So what?
The tow vehicles.
Go for it. It's not where I was going to go, but
I
you can. So you said you go to, or used to go to, a lot of car shows and that kind of stuff. Predominantly Volkswagen car shows or everything car shows?
I'll still go to Lowrider Show when it comes around.
Yeah.
Which is far and few in between nowadays.
Yeah.
Car shows, I think they call them meets now.
Mhm.
I think
don't
it
know that
depends
they
on what you go
Yeah,
to. But
yeah. I think they just talk about them differently. They're less formal.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still car.
Oh yeah,
shows,
absolutely.
You know.
I just think the more common ones are the car meets.
Yeah, the cars and coffee.
Cars and coffee. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly what I was thinking.
Those aren't.
There's another one, Dubs and Donuts.
Yeah.
Never heard of
people
that
playing
one.
that's
I mean,
So-
give me a donut, I'm in.
Yeah.
right. Just the
Yeah.
donut's good. I'm good
Right.
with the donut.
Yeah.
But in that sense, I go to a lot of shows, but I don't ever show my cars.
Oh, okay.
I don't. It's not my.
Did
thing.
you used to?
When I was in the lowrider scene, I did.
Yeah. But not so much in Volkswagen
Not so much now.
world.
I went and showed. I can't remember exactly what year. I showed my Jetta and I showed my GTI, and they're kind of clones of each other. Both black on black. Same setups. Blah blah blah. The GTI is a little faster. It's lighter weight, bigger pistons, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
But other than that, it was kind of a 2-door, 4-door.
Mm-hmm.
For me, the joke was, look how far I've come. When I first started driving, I had a black GTI.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now you're showing up
now I'm almost
black-
50 years old and I still got a black GTI.
Yeah.
So
Hey,
I
you
was,
like what you like. What are you going to do?
oh yeah. You'll always go back to whatever, whatever
Oh,
your
yeah.
passion is.
Yeah.
But I went and showed my cars, and by far, of course, I'm judging my own, but by far the 2 cleanest Mark IIs there, and I didn't even place.
Oh,
Really?
I mean, there were people that were showing up with mix and match. I always mention wood screws, but that was it. The
How
guy-
does that even work?
Wow.
He couldn't get his bumper to fit on, so he wood screwed it to his fenders. So you could see the wood screws.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't decide. There was no proper application. It was missing all the flares. Some of his jack flaps were like, there were parts to his car that were missing.
He didn't even Bondo over that and repaint it.
No.
Oh my
No.
Wow.
His door handle. I mean, the one car, I remember it distinctly too, because it was white. But it had a 12-valve VR6 swapped into it.
Mhm.
And that's what won.
He had a
His
he had a
door
bunch
handle,
of friends there that were
his door handle was broken off. Like the button to open the trunk was missing. It was a freaking hole. How did you get first place, dude?
Wow.
Your front seats.
Popularity contest.
A super
Yeah.
common thing in the community was he had 2 front seats that didn't match the rest of his interior.
That's a common thing?
But it was, they got to have the cool 2 front seats. Only none of the rest of the shit
two
matches. It
different
doesn't
ones.
make any sense.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see.
And it wasn't
Yeah.
it wasn't like a Recaro
Yeah.
or Sparco
Just a
racing
whatever.
seat. It was just a cool front seat out of a different generation.
Oh, okay.
And then nothing else matched.
Wow.
Hole where the radio goes.
So what was it judged on? If that car wins,
And that's where I decided this has nothing to do with the cars.
no
Popularity.
This
Well,
is
I
popularity.
guess that's
Yeah.
This
not the
person-
kind of car show I want to
Yeah.
participate in.
And so I decided I was just not going to show cars anymore.
Yeah.
Not mine.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
If customers want to show cars, I used to go set up a booth, and sling parts, swap meet kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so customers would always try to park their cars
hmm
next to where I was at so that, hey, this is what he built,
Yeah.
blah, 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 which was embarrassing because it was like they never placed either.
Oh.
And their cars, I mean, everybody's a critique of their own work.
Yeah.
I'm never done building anything.
Mhm.
You can
It's
always
always
make it
something else.
better.
Yeah.
You can always make
Yeah.
it better. But when it's customers' cars, it's like, dude, I built exactly what you asked me for, my own little touches. This thing's badass. And look at this piece of shit. It's got a different colored fender. This guy got 3rd place.
Yeah.
hmm
How
You
does that
didn't
happen?
Yeah.
That just blows me away.
He had
It's-
a rare
it's unreal.
antenna.
Yeah.
I've never seen that antenna
or
before.
a cool sticker.
Yeah.
Like,
Ooh,
oh, that
+5.
one, you got a decal on the side of your car. So,
hmm
yeah, so I don't show, but I go to all the shows and I always take my daughter.
Is there
She
any,
loves watching the drag races. So.
is there
Oh,
any
that's
shows that you recommend that you really like going to every year?
The Bug Run, which is usually the beginning of summer, and Pacific Waterland, which is
Okay.
usually the end. There's shows up in Washington, Leavenworth, which actually, it's funny because the city shut down. I think that's how it worked. The city shut down the Leavenworth car show because it got too big,
Really?
Oh.
Wow.
but people still show up. So
Oh,
now
yeah.
it's just not
Just-
orchestrated.
Oh, wow.
It's just it's actually worse now because
Because now it's not organized.
now it's not organized.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so they got mad because people would go down this one main drag and,
There's
rev,
only
rev their
one main
engines or
drag.
blah, blah, blah. Now they're screwed because nobody's limiting what they're doing
Yeah.
at all.
Right.
Now people
Now
are
there's-
hauling
yeah,
ass.
Just
down
whatever.
this-
No
yeah,
rules,
yeah.
so to speak.
There's no
So they made it
fundamental
worse
body.
for themselves.
Didn't there used to be I don't know what they called it, a drive-in or something in Vancouver that they kind of did the similar thing up and down the main street?
Mhm.
I don't remember. What's it called?
I forget the name of that's what it was. It was a drive-in.
Yeah.
And they actually reopened it, if I remember right. I was
Yeah,
looking
I'm
on
sure it shut down at COVID times, but it's probably been the last couple of years been gone again, I would think.
Yeah.
I only went to it once, but it was actually really cool. A lot of great builds, a lot of hot rods. I mean, it's predominantly a hot rod
Mhm.
show,
Mhm.
but I always thought that one was pretty cool.
Yeah, there was I forget where I was looking, but it was something, Facebook page that they were promoting that. They were like, "Hey, we're bringing this back."
Oh, nice.
They also did one at not Triton. What was the name of that power plant out there?
The nuclear one?
Yeah,
Oh, in
it's on the other
Longview?
side of the river. Though.
yeah, you're
Yeah.
talking. No, it's is it on?
I forget what it's called.
It's on the other side.
I keep thinking
Yeah,
of
it's
Triton.
in
but that's not
Rainier,
what it's- Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Trojan.
Trojan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's another
They
one.
used to do one there.
If you like hot rods, it's called End of the World Rod Run.
I've heard of it.
It's on the Long Beach Peninsula,
Oh, yeah.
and that
I've
one's,
heard of that.
That one's huge.
Long Beach, like Washington.
Long
Long
Beach.
Beach.
Like how big?
That's
huge?
way
You're
out
talking
there, though.
A couple hundred cars?
1,000,
Wow.
couple thousand cars.
That'd be
They
fun
don't
to
have
go to.
room for a couple thousand cars in that town.
No,
That'd
they
be
do.
rad.
That would be
It's
cool.
It's not in Long Beach. It's on the peninsula, and that peninsula is a lot longer than you think it is. It's like
Yeah.
20 something miles long.
Oh, that's cool.
So
That's
That'd
right.
be pretty rad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you think, going back to the VW stuff just a little bit, why do you think it has such a big following? Like and it's the older stuff, not the, you can't really say the newer stuff has a following, though it might with the teenies or whatever, but
Yeah. Like I say, when I was growing up, it really was, like you say, it was like a brotherhood.
yeah.
So I think a lot of it, was sparked, and of course it's just my opinion, but a lot of it was sparked by the old buses.
Those things are so
being
cool.
that,
Yeah.
I mean, they were so easy to fix, a flathead screwdriver and some duct tape.
Maybe that's why too. It's like it's a
And-
car you can actually work on.
Yeah. It was super simple,
Yeah.
super easy to work on. But a lot of people drove those because they were cheap too. And
Yeah.
I know that, I've got family members that used to follow the Dead,
Oh yeah.
Grateful Dead.
Oh, yeah.
And that was
Probably
their-
all of them drove Volkswagens.
That was their choice
Yeah.
because they were just
Here's a
so
bus or a Beetle
so
or-
easy.
yeah.
So easy to work on.
And,
Which is hilarious because nowadays people think they're so difficult, and it's like,
Yeah.
and they got super good fuel mileage
Yeah.
too for the.
Well, what do you think of the modern Volkswagen? I mean, even Volkswagen, I don't know if they officially changed it, but they were changing the name to Volkswagen, VOLT, like electric.
oh, Volt.
Oof.
Yeah.
Oof.
They were,
I haven't heard that.
yeah.
Hmm.
They were pushing that last year because they're going all electric, but
Sure.
I don't know if there still are now. But-
Haven't heard.
I have. I
Gonna
guess
drag
I-
us down the electric road.
Yeah,
again.
I have my own proclivities with electric cars. But,
Ooh.
well, it's because I'm in a catch-22 because I have a customer that wants me to build him one.
Oh yeah.
A
Like take something old and electrify
solar, yeah.
Yeah.
Like he wants a Rabbit, but he wants it electric.
it. Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
It seems to be a more common swap. People are going that route. And I
Yeah.
get it because you get more power, but you're taking the soul from the car.
yeah, for sure.
You really are. There's no more heartbeat. You don't get to sit and listen to your car.
Yeah.
Then you might as well get a radio.
But what about like on
Well, there you go. Yeah, and you got lots of
Might as well
battery
put a
power
radio in.
for it,
Tons
right?
of battery power.
But what about
Yeah.
something like the new bus come out? That's all electric, but it's got style. I'll give it that, and it's has
Yeah.
I think it's called the ID4,
is that what it
something
is?
like that. Yeah. So the original gas version is called the Type 4,
Mm-hmm.
but I think they call it an ID4 now. Transporter.
Okay,
I think that's what it's called. I mean, they're cool looking. They didn't stray away from the originality of the bus.
mm-hmm.
Is that what it's?
Let's see. Yep,
Yeah.
there it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's boxy. It's look at an old bus like the one right there and the
Yeah.
picture below it. They stuck to the plan.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the newer Golfs, most of the newer Jettas, even the Passat, like they're just
Not even
bastards
close.
of the original car.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're
not even
horrible.
close to the original.
They're horrible. The original selling point for old Rabbits, Mark 1, Mark 2 was they called them the hot hatch.
Mm-hmm.
Hot VW's magazine, VW Trends, blah, blah. They always said, in the water cooled world, these are the hot hatches.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what sparked the whole hatchback era because even Honda had the CVC, but it didn't come out until about 10 years after the Rabbit,
Yep.
which was its inception was like 74.
They had to play catch up.
It was that
And so
long
they were-
after it was.
Yeah, it was.
Wow.
I want to say it was like 8 to 10 years.
When
Okay.
when did the Rabbit come out?
74.
74.
74.
They did have a early 80s, maybe
Eight-
even late 70s Honda hatch,
It-
but
it-
they were really square and really small.
the other people that I knew that were doing it were like the Gremlin
Yep.
or the
Pinto.
Pinto. They were doing hatchbacks, but they weren't doing
The Pacer.
that. The
Yep.
Pacer. That's
Yep.
what I was thinking of too.
Yeah.
That compact. That
Yeah,
smaller,
they weren't small. They were-
smaller than
they were-
sport car.
They were quite a bit bigger.
Hatchback.
They were trying to be
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
smaller station wagon, not a
Right.
hatchback.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
And the earliest recognition that I have of a it was the CVC, and I thought it was 80 or 81.
Mhm.
CVC?
CVCC.
And it was before
Civic.
the Honda
That's where Civic came from, the CVCC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
CVC or CVCC. Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
Did
Yeah.
that have the original? It was a 600 cc.
Yeah, I think so.
motorcycle motor.
Oh
I
man,
think
I
they
think
had,
it was. I think it was like Geo Metro, where it was like 3-cylinder even.
Yeah,
I don't recall that. Yeah.
I don't
we
even-
had one of
I don't even
those
know
when
if
I was a
it
kid that my dad cut the fucking roof off.
Oh, really?
Oh, they were so.
I was like
They were
11
pretty
or 12
ugly,
year old.
actually.
they really were.
But they ran forever.
Oh man, you could. It's like
Forever.
the old Subaru Justy.
Yeah.
Like you could just beat the brakes
Yeah.
off that car and,
And
it'll just keep going.
Keep going.
Just
Yeah.
keep going. But yeah, the I'm sorry, I forgot the.
I'm trying to remember.
What was the question?
It was asking.
We got sidetracked.
Well, my main question was,
about that newer version.
Yeah, what you think of the new version? What just in Volkswagen in general, with them moving to electrified and moving to with more tech? Like, what do you think of them as a company and as their cars now?
The difficulty in working on them obviously is gone
escalated massively,
way through the roof because they went more German car than they went, or German technology. Yeah. So, all the bells and whistles and blah, blah, blah. They've stuck to the tradition of over-engineering the hell out of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not just have an oil pump. Let's have an oil pump that's attached to balance shafts, that's attached to, like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
What did you run efficiently when everything is all in order and goes in shape?
Yeah.
Very well done. Thank you.
Nice.
Yeah. That sucked the air out of the room. What happened?
From where'd we just go?
Yeah.
So from the mechanical sense, they kind of stuck to their roots, but the look, again, it goes back to that electric shaver.
Yeah.
I think they're just trying to keep up with everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And whether that's right or wrong, I don't know. Everybody likes their own generation of vehicle, and you kind of get stuck in that, right? It's like the new stuff comes out, and you're like, oof, I really don't like it. I like the old one,
All the original body lines and whatnot, they're all gone. Like you look at a new Rabbit.
Right. Wait, they have a new Rabbit?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Golf GTI?
It's actually a Rabbit.
Actual Rabbit.
Really
actual Rabbit.
Wow.
But it looks more like a Honda Civic, which is disgusting. It looks like a dart. It is a wedge of cheese.
Okay.
Huh.
And it's terrible, but got rid of that hot hatch look, which is that nice rear window slant.
Yeah.
They got rid of it. And it's horrible.
It looks,
and it's a 4-door.
Wait, so which one is it? The flat?
No, that's not an actual car.
That looks like a GTI.
There you go.
It looks just
that is an actual Rabbit.
It looks like a GTI.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, what happened?
And it's terrible. It's the whole back end of that car is just flat.
So, do you think it'll grow on you?
No,
because there's a couple cars. Or let's go with the Toyota Tundra.
Okay.
The new generation, the newest one, I freaking hated it when it came out. It is actually starting to grow on me.
The new Tundra?
The new one.
Just getting used to it.
Yeah, I think I'm getting used to it. But like when you look at the front fenders, it's got that little indentation on it.
Yeah.
I always looked at that and went, that is the stupidest thing they ever did. They never should have done that.
Mm-hmm.
Go back to the original or, the last model. And now I look at it and I'm like, it's not so bad anymore.
Interesting.
And with different colors, it looks better.
Yeah.
I'm just getting tired of all the fake grills on everything or fake exhaust. Have you seen those where the back of there is literally two sticking exhaust and nothing connected to them?
I haven't seen that. That's kind of nuts.
BMW does that.
Is that where they put the exhaust speaker?
Yeah. Well, some of them do actually.
Yeah.
Volkswagen did that.
Especially in the electric cars.
They added engine noise to the car.
Why not just put an engine in it?
Yeah. Arturo, what about the driving experience between any Volkswagens? Do you think at least that's improved compared to old ones? Or
you're assuming he's driven it.
That's what I'm asking.
Oh.
I've driven my buddy's Golf R, which is basically like a station wagon version of a Golf. And his is a TDI. Not much mechanically done to it. I mean, from the luxury sense, it's new. All the bells and whistles. The seats are heated and things like that. But drivability, I think they just keep getting worse. Only in the sense that it's much more of it's much more of like a leisurely car. Whereas before it was a stripped down version, something easy to work on. And that's probably just me being an old school VW fan.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're amazing to drive. Yeah. It's great. My buddy had he bought his wife a newer CC, and it's super comfortable to drive in. Super nice, but you smash on the gas and it doesn't go anywhere.
No, that's a bummer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you get in, try and dip into a corner and it's like, wow. Either you're, oversteer, understeer. it tracks so bad, you just feel like you're still going straight.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Which is, so what happened to the performance went to crap. So, but that's also years of building older stuff too, where it's like,
What about taking out some of the tech in those cars and putting them in older cars, like the all-wheel drive system or the DCT like transmissions?
That's actually one of my favorite things to do. Resto modding
Mm-hmm.
is new tech in old cars. So obviously, I like sticking with the Mark 1, Mark 2 generation.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's great. I want to eventually, I'd like to do a 2 liter, like out of a, mid 13s, Jetta, and swap it into an older Rabbit. Functionally it should be just about the same, but all the technology, you got to pick the right years too, because they did some goofy stuff, with timing components and whatnot. So then it makes it more difficult. But we're blessed with Volkswagen coming out with, every 4 to 6 years, their grand holy crap car, which is usually their R32.
Yeah.
2004 they did that, and then 2008 they did it, and then 2013,
Yes,
they came out with a new Scirocco.
Mm-hmm.
So they went from the old school Scirocco to the Corrado, and then from the Corrado back to the Scirocco.
Yeah.
And then now I hear they might do another Corrado, which looks a whole hell of a lot like the original Corrado. So
really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
when it comes to buying something new,
That might be kind of cool.
that I would probably own one of those.
Yeah, that'd be neat.
So as soon as I can find a reasonably priced Mark IV R32, I'll probably get one of those, and then just get rid of the Golf. But that would just be solely on.
Yeah.
I just want one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Sure. Yeah.
Do I need one? No, I
No,
don't.
But it sounds fun.
No, I don't need any more cars.
Yeah.
But
None of us do, but
Right.
we all have them on
collections
our
keep
list.
growing.
Yeah,
It does
our
tend
list
to
of,
happen.
if that showed up at a reasonable price, I'd probably go for that. I know I have those on my
I'm
list.
dealing with that right now.
leave a little chunk of chain sitting aside for that.
Right.
If it comes up.
A little spot in the garage.
Because it does happen. It does happen. I got my Golf that way. Fully built TDI.
Yep.
It gets amazing gas mileage, and I paid $4,000 for it.
Oh, very nice.
It's an $8,000 car all day long, even though it's a 2002.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't
That's
matter.
cool.
Just fuel economy alone
Yeah.
would warrant that. But then all the upgrades, skid plate, and, upper lower sway bars, stress bars, all that stuff. So it's deals like that do come across.
Yeah.
Do you find it easier to work on diesel Volkswagens compared to gas Volkswagens, or vice versa?
I think diesels are a pain in the ass in their own right.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's Volkswagen diesel or just diesel in general.
Mm-hmm.
Most people don't realize that, the simplicity of it and then the difficulty in that simplicity.
Mm-hmm.
There's no spark plugs. There's
Right.
no coil packs. There's no
Yeah.
wires. There's literally almost no, you could actually set it on the ground and it'll run by itself
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
as long as you're pumping fuel into it. So, which adds in that other aspect of compression.
Mm-hmm.
People don't realize, reusing head bolts on a diesel is probably a bad idea.
Yeah.
I've had customers do that.
What is fine.
They'll be fine. This is only my third time reusing stretch bolts.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
What?
Yeah, we're just gonna pop the heads right off of there.
Yeah.
Probably in a Ford 460, you want to replace them too.
Yeah. I would say any diesel, unless you have ARP studs, and even then, ARP studs like on a diesel is just still, ugh. When you're running, a normal car is what, 150, 180
To what?
compression ratio?
Oh,
150,
no,
180, 200, we'll say. Tops. I mean, diesels are 400 to 500
Oh yeah.
PSI. That's
nuts. The torque on them too
Mm-hmm.
when you're tightening them is way higher.
Most spun aluminum tanks that people use for air compressors can't hold that.
No.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got clowns out here. I'll just reuse these head bolts. I'll put the same head gasket back on.
Funny thing is,
man.
the head bolts the kit isn't that expensive.
No. No.
I mean, you're going to probably spend $100 or $150, but in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, but in the car world, especially I would say in the Volkswagen world too, you can't start talking logical.
No.
Come on.
Don't stop.
Come on.
Stop
It's
with
one
that
of
logic.
my favorite sayings is if you don't have time to do it right the first time, how do you have time to do it again?
Yeah.
And again.
Yeah.
And again.
That's a good
Again.
saying.
Like it's ridiculous to me. It's like, why don't you just do it right the first time? Well, I didn't have to.
I bought a Toyota, 88 Toyota pickup one time
Cool.
from a dude that I worked with.
Those are the ones that had the really cool latches on the side of the bed. It had like the bed rail. It almost looked like a step side. It wasn't flat.
No. It was a fleet side.
Yeah, I think
Okay,
those were.
okay.
Those
Yeah,
were
that was
a
the
little
older one.
Older
78.
84. maybe.
Early 80s, late 70s. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, sorry.
Anyway, it had IFS. It was a really nice truck. It's exactly what I wanted in white. He had rebuilt the motor. So I bought it from him and I started having problems with it. Like, let's get a new motor in it, new head, all the work had been done. He did all the work.
Mhm.
And one day I pull the dipstick and I'm like, well, that's frothy. And there's little oil spots in the radiator. I'm like,
Milkshake.
son of a bitch. So I get to talking to him one day and I'm like, so when you rebuilt that, how did you do it? And he's like, oh yeah, I slapped it all together and, tightened it down and fired it up and it was good to go. I'm like, did you torque it? Yeah, no, I didn't really torque it. I'm
Tight
like,
is tight.
I'm like, did you do the star torque pattern? No, I just kind of threw it on there and I'm like,
Wow.
So I only had this thing for like 2 months, right? But I caught it early. So I ended up taking it all off, bought new studs, put it all back together, new head gasket, the whole 9 yards, and torqued it correctly.
Mhm.
I drove that thing forever.
Awesome.
Good times. So
Another story of one man's trash, another man's treasure.
Mhm.
yeah, can be. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys had some show notes tonight, something about tow rigs, and I'm not sure how this all fits in to.
So we were talking about Arturo's car earlier, right?
Yeah.
The project he's doing and the trailer he's building for it, right? It's basically a Jetta with a matching Jetta trailer, right? And that's kind of the direction I was going, right? Like a couple things. One, what are you building it for, right?
Camp trailer.
Yeah,
What I got out of it.
the whole goal was to be able to. I think one of the worst things that we've gotten to, and in no way whatsoever am I trying to get political at all, but one of the worst things that we've gotten to in this country is got used to being charged an arm and a leg for things that we absolutely need.
Yeah.
That being said, when you go and you take vacations, I grew up in a really poor family. So when we would do vacations, they were staycations.
Mhm.
We're going to Oaks Park. We're going to, what was that? Enchanted Forest.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that were very cheap.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want that for my daughter. I want to be able to take her places. But that being said, back to my original point, when you go stay at a hotel, it's gross.
Yeah.
Even a Motel 6 is a couple $100 a night.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a joke.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to be able to afford the vacation, we got to have somewhere to stay.
Mhm.
And I don't want to, fork out a bunch of money to something that's mindless. We're going to be in the room for 6 hours.
Yeah.
If I can take my daughter on road trips, which is the goal for this, if I can take her with me on road trips in something that's comfortable, that's fun to drive, blah, 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 and we don't have to pay for a room, think of how much more we can see.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And the memories you
Forrest
can
Gump
make.
on his runs.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Just keep running.
Just keep running. So same idea. One of the farthest places, my daughter wants to go is Florida because she wants to go to, what is that? She wants to go see Jurassic World and then she wants to go
Yes.
to the
So much yes.
to the Universal Studios and whatnot. But so obviously a trip to Florida, we're going to have to.
Rob, we need to go there. We should join.
I've been there. Thanks.
No, not interested.
You went without me?
Don't tell me about it because I don't. Yeah, it'll ruin it for her. She's super excited.
That's cool.
That's cool.
But yeah, I want we want to go see the Grand Canyon. We want to go see Niagara Falls. We want to go things like this where bonding nowadays really isn't a thing. And I'm known for it too. We sit down and we watch, funny YouTube videos and crazy cats or dogs doing weird stuff. Anyway, I want to be able to bond with her where it's us listening to the radio, singing along, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Driving somewhere.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that was the whole point of the tow rig.
Road trips.
Yeah.
Okay. Now it all comes together.
So
I got it.
How did where you guys were going influence what you were going to build?
Dinosaurs.
So like a lot of stuff that you guys want to do, like Green Canyon, stuff like that, right? The Jurassic World in Florida, a lot of that stuff is close to things, right?
Right.
Yeah, you're probably going to be out and away from civilization between destinations.
Right.
But a lot of the destinations you were talking about are kind of close to stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, how did that influence the difference between, going on that trip versus taking it up to, like, the middle of nowhere in the woods and staying somewhere for a week?
That would also be part of the agenda as well. I think it's a little bit of two different things. One, destination came into play when I was doing this, but also testing my ability.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what would be the ultimate completely out of the, blow it out of the park for something that you could build that people have never seen, or at least in my opinion, people have never done properly.
Yeah.
I see people build teardrops all day long.
Sure.
And they're cool to an extent, but in the same realm, I've seen people take, the back end of old Ford pickup trucks and they make a trailer out of it. They hook it up to their other Ford pickup truck.
Right.
So that kind of thing. So all of that kind of came, melting into the pot for the design. But, so I guess it was a little bit of destination as well as testing whether I could do that. Like I'm a minimalist, in the sense, I think I've made the joke before. It's like, I'll bitch and moan about paying $30 for a pair of jeans, but it's like this one socket for this one engine in this one Audi that's $70. Oh, fuck. All right. Well, just give me 3 of them just in case, just in case. So, so in that sense, but I am a minimalist. I don't, I don't need somebody's name embroidered on my clothes or any of that crap. Mm-hmm. So in that sense, I could go out and buy a rig like this that is built and pull a trailer, blah, blah, blah. But there's nothing unique about that. There's not to mention eventually, and I think I've been dragging my feet on this build for a little while because I want my daughter to get excited about it too.
Yeah.
Once she gets to put her hands and fingers on everything, then it'll mean that much more. And then, when she's ready for college, then it's like, hey, we're going to get rid of this thing and, your school is going to be paid for. So there's a lot of different things that came into play for the build.
And I think for you, there's so much more satisfaction in building it than going and buying one. Mm-hmm. Well, the use is the same,
right? Right.
But you built it, or you and your daughter built it together, and it's experience. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They're one of my favorite stickers that I see all the time too is built, not bought.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And it cracks me up because you see these stickers on all
bought
these
cars,
trailer queens, and bone stock with wheels, and it's like, what did you build?
You need to put that on the back of that trailer.
Oh yeah,
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Is there any input that your daughter's put into that trailer build?
She actually was the one that came up with the daybed idea. Because she didn't know what it was called, but she's like, well, what if we could lay down and sit up, but at the same time. And so when I started thinking about that, I was like, okay. She said, well, where are we going to put our clothes? oh crap, all right, not a lot of storage space.
Yeah.
I want to have a one of those Jeep style pop up tents for the top.
Mhm.
Oh, cool.
On top
Mounted
of it.
on top of it.
Yeah, so we don't
Oh, that's
necessarily
nice.
always have to sleep inside.
Yeah.
Because I would imagine there's going to be some places in Montana or Arizona where we get out in the middle of BFE
Yeah.
Mhm.
and we're staring at stars. And guess what I want to look at?
Hell yeah.
Stars.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't want to, I love my daughter to death, but I want her to see them too, not stare at me.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I don't want us to be trapped inside.
No, that's
So
really cool.
being out in the open too, if we have, one of the dogs with us or something like that, they'll warn us if someone's around. But
It's not the someone, it's the bears.
Yeah.
They'll warn you.
So the daybed idea came about because then you can make cubbies underneath
Oh, okay.
to the normal floorboards where now you have storage space for.
Yeah.
But she was the one that came up with the idea for the daybed. She also thought about snacks too.
Hmm.
So I was like, we should
You're gonna have room
we should
for
make
snacks.
we should make the area in the trunk that is, that'll have a little mini fridge and all that. We should make it accessible from the inside.
Oh yeah.
So we don't actually have to get out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But-
since you guys are doing or not doing the hotel rooms, did you add a wash station to it, or are you going to?
To the
Like a shower type thing?
No, there's enough places across the country that you could probably stop.
A lot of campsites.
A lot of
Yeah.
truck stops, probably.
I was
Yeah.
thinking truck stops.
Sure.
But I was also thinking, I used to do events for the Elks Lodge.
Mhm.
So it's so cheap to become an Elks Lodge member.
Hmm.
And they have all those facilities at all
Oh,
those
that's cool.
places.
Yeah.
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 And that's
So-
across country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, you're supporting veterans and stuff like that too. So
Yep.
that's always a plus there. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, it's kind of like when you go camping I don't really worry about how clean I am.
Yeah.
It's a couple packs of handy wipes and,
Yeah. Scent free, dye free baby wipes.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Clean the bits and pieces, and you're good.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
Nice. Well, now that all comes together, I was like, I don't understand where this all comes. Now I get it.
Okay.
yeah, the most recent build,
Yeah.
at least
Yeah.
that's mine anyway.
Right. Well, you guys got anything else for him? Because
I got a question.
yeah, I could do it.
Do you have what's the word? I'm trying to think of the best way to put it. A grand opus project, your final end all be all project. Like for me, it would be like when I'm 56 years old, the one project that will be the end all will be a replica Batman tumbler.
Awesome.
Do you have any idea of vision, like what that would be for you?
Like
Your
car to
masterpiece.
own or masterpiece.
Like
okay.
what would be like the thing, like say if like that you would be known for, I don't know.
What's your Gotham
major
garage build?
Your giant, yeah.
the Gotham garage build.
Yeah. That one thing that you want to have that's maybe in a showroom floor somewhere someday.
I don't know that I have one yet.
No?
No, I know there's like a pinnacle car that I wanted to own. I don't know if there's one. At least I haven't come up with one yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fair.
Still
Still building.
Still building.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think probably along the lines of the Jetta, but a bus.
Nice.
I would love to do a bus. I don't know if
Would
you
you
guys
do
remember Mad Max,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the second one, the Road Warrior,
Oh yeah.
where
Yeah.
they had the semi truck, but it had the trailer that was connected.
Yeah.
And you could walk.
Yep.
I've wanted to build a bus like that,
That'd be kind of
That
Where
has like
it is a bus with a bus trailer, but it's actually
Connected.
you're literally connected like a
Okay.
TriMet.
So you could get
kinda,
Articulating.
so like the Lost World, Jurassic Park, like the RV, how it had the accordion in the middle.
yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
Everything
Yeah.
in his
Yes.
world comes
Everything.
back to Jurassic Park.
Yes, it does.
And he has to bring it up
I didn't
every
bring it up this
episode.
time.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
You just did.
Well, I did now. I did earlier.
And like 10 minutes
well, I think
ago.
I said
No, that was
Jurassic
his
World.
fault. That was his fault.
Oh,
Because my daughter wants to go see Jurassic
That was
World in
it.
Florida.
Yeah.
That was it. Got hooked on that.
That's why he built the whole thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just for that.
Mm.
But yeah, a bus, elongated bus,
Yeah.
for lack of better terminology.
That's
Some kind
That'd be
something.
cool.
That it would, move.
Flex.
That would be cool because, I mean, then, you could take that thing anywhere too.
Yeah.
You could damn near live out of it.
So I'm really excited for the next question because I think I know what you're going to ask.
Okay, well, I wasn't, but
No?
we could.
Well,
We could
what's
go.
next? I
Since
don't
we
even
did
know.
the
Well,
entire episode backwards, we might
I
as well
know.
just,
Well, like, we already know what our top 3 are, right?
for us,
For us.
Yeah.
I'm really
do it.
excited
Yeah.
to hear about this. Okay.
Okay.
So we have a top 3 of cars that we would either own or we'd love to drive.
Really
at
want to
some
drive
point,
someday.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
What are yours?
Top 3,
Yeah.
own or drive?
The original question is, what are your top 3? I really would like to drive that someday.
And it could be like a truck. It could be a
Absolutely
plane,
anything.
boat.
There's no rules.
Yeah.
No rules.
Okay.
Oscar Mayer Wienermobile.
I
Could be on the list, yeah. I
you
wouldn't
know
say
that-
no.
That Batman tumbler, that
Oh,
you know,
that would be pretty
that thing
slick.
would be pretty sick.
Right?
Yeah.
I would love to launch that.
That'd be sick.
I would probably say own, and it's because it's a goal.
Okay.
So 75 911 Carrera
Okay.
S.
Nice.
That's a good choice.
Yeah.
Targa.
I would love to have one of those. I'm not a convertible.
Coupe.
I'm not a convertible
Not
guy.
a Targa
Coupe,
guy. Okay.
yeah.
I got nothing against convertibles, man. I see them all day long.
Yeah,
I
but
goes,
that
that's
coupe-
cool. You want to buy it? Nope. I don't want a convertible.
Yep.
I just don't like convertibles.
I'm with you. I'm not a convertible guy either.
Actually, if I could find cars all in tin tops, I would.
Mhm.
My Brown Rabbit, the track car, tin top, no sunroof.
Really?
Yeah.
My 91 GTI, tin top, no sunroof.
Mm.
Rare in their own sense because all of them had sunroofs.
Yeah.
My Jetta Coupe, tin top, no sunroof. It's another rarity. But 75 911. I would love, and I think I'm probably going to start looking in the next 5 years or so. I would love to have a first gen NSX.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
That'd be
nice.
cool.
Yep.
Those
I
are
would
starting to come
love,
back up in
love.
price.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, they are.
Could
Yeah.
you imagine if
Yeah.
you got the Phil Knights one?
Oh my God.
Like,
The one
It's
you
got to
almost
be
ran
black.
into?
If I buy one, it's got to be
He
black.
probably still
Because that was
owns it.
his. Oh yeah. It was so badass.
Yeah.
And then I'd probably say something that was, it would be a build,
mhm.
but I've always wanted to do Duramax dually
Okay.
crew cab on its face, powered by a Cummins.
Okay.
Wait.
So,
what?
So a Chevy,
A Chevy-
Okay.
A Chevy with a Cummins.
with the Cummins
Okay.
swapped.
Kevin
Huh.
swap. 12
But-
valve or 24 valve?
The Cummins.
Yeah, which one?
I forget whichever is the mid-range 7-liter. Is it the 7.2? Is that the 12?
No, I
No.
think they're 5.7 or 6.
Yeah, no, it's 5.9 or it's a 6.7.
5.9, 5.9, 6.7. Yeah.
So 6.7 is what I'm thinking of.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the newer
6.7.
one.
Yeah.
That'd be a 24 valve.
24 valve.
Yeah.
So,
So
probably that,
would
but yeah.
that truck, since it's dually, would you bag it?
Oh yeah,
It'd be
Mm.
bagged,
Yeah.
dropped on
Just
frame
on its
rails.
face.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
like tuck a quarter of the wheel in the fender
Oh,
wells.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay,
Lay
that's cool.
the frame out.
I
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah. I mean,
Nice.
if it was something, I guess one car, I guess I would love to drive any like fully built by a team race car,
Mm.
actual race car.
Any variety doesn't even
any
matter.
variety, it doesn't even matter.
Oh yeah,
Whether it's kart, whether it's Indy, whether it's NASCAR,
yeah.
but probably somewhere along the lines of a rally.
Oh okay.
You know,
Oh,
just
yeah.
a fully built Subi
Yeah.
would be, and be able to just go,
Just go flog it.
oh man,
Go full out.
Yeah.
Gotta go dirtfish.
Race it.
Vermont,
Yeah.
Vermont rally. I'll have to look it up. Vermont race car, Vermont racing. I don't know. Big rally car builder. They just built a brand new Subaru, all
Nice.
black.
Awesome.
It is freaking cool.
Nice.
I'll pull it up for you guys before you leave.
Do you guys mind if I expand on that question
No.
real quick? No, you do
Dude,
mind?
It's.
All right.
We got 2 more questions.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go. No, actually, we got a lot more to cover, but go ahead.
Oh.
I just want to know, Arturo, because you were talking about movies. What's your top movie car or TV show car?
I mean, you could always go, Steve McQueen Bullet.
hmm
Um,
What sticks out to you the most?
I would probably say the most iconic, like from my childhood that I could
Mhm.
remember, was Sylvester Stallone did a movie called Cobra,
Okay.
and it actually he had a God, what was it? I want to say it was a Cobra in that
It would make sense.
That would make
that
sense.
movie. But the more I'm thinking about it, I don't think it was an actual Cobra.
Oh yeah,
Really? Like a
The
Daytona?
Mustang Cobra. If
Yeah,
only we
I
could
think
look it up.
Yeah.
He's
Will you
busy looking
look up that
series.
movie Cobra? I just
So,
remember
was
he had
that
a
the-
badass car that
Is that
had all
the
this.
carbon
Type in Sylvester
670 horsepower
Stallone.
carbon fiber WRX?
Oh, that's really
That's
cool.
pretty badass.
But I would.
Stallone Cobra car. There it is. That was the first thing come up. That?
Whoa.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
That was his car in the movie.
A Ripper.
It was called.
So that doesn't even
looks
look
like an
Cobra. It looks like a
Oldsmobile.
shit. Yeah.
I think it's an Olds, but that's what it got me hooked on.
It's a Mercury.
Wow.
and it used to do all kinds of cool shit. You know
Mercury
what I mean?
Monterey.
Like there was an old cartoon strip called
Mhm.
Crass and Bernie, and it used to be in a magazine called Cartoons.
Yeah.
Mhm. Well, that's
And they
funny.
always built all kinds of lead sleds, they called them. And so these were the cars that stuck out the most from my childhood. But there was one that was in the movie called The Wraith. It was
Yeah.
The DDTE, Dodge Daytona Turbo Eliminator.
Mhm.
And I always thought that was the coolest car ever because it was the mix of this world or this generation
Mhm.
and newer generation.
Mm.
You know, of course, it was crappy technology back then. So
Yeah.
the motor was like some lit up, cereal box that was vibrating,
Oh,
right? With all these weird flashing lights,
right.
ET kind of
yeah.
thing.
Bad-
But the car itself was
bad
just
effects.
badass.
Yeah,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah. It was badass. And it always reminded me of a mix between new car, old car.
Okay.
Yeah.
So even until now, and I watch that movie all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Mm.
That must. When did that come out? Like,
This came out in the 80s.
yeah. So
I'd
he
say
was
this was like
fairly young when
89.
he did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
All right. When he was.
1986, it says Cobra.
Oh,
was
there
the
you go.
movie. And the car in it, by the way, is a 1950 Mercury Monterey Coupe.
Coupe. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was cool. It had like the guns that popped out of the headlights and all. It just had weird stuff. I don't remember exactly because I haven't seen
Very
this.
James Bondish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But the Wraith I watch all the time. So.
Okay.
Next.
His
All right.
gun was cool too.
Mm. Obnoxious. Everything was huge and loud back then.
Oh, good. Okay. What vehicle for you?
And now we're demonetized.
Yeah, wouldn't be a
What the
good show if we didn't have a phone interruption.
I swear I turned that off.
What vehicle's a hard no? Somebody's handing you the keys. There you go. Drive it home. And you're like, nope.
Gosh, I don't know if I have a specific, but I would probably say any supercar.
Really?
Any
supercar.
supercar.
Oh,
Wow.
I love
Lambos.
Wouldn't even take it to sell it, huh?
Maybe take it to sell it and buy like 5 cars that I actually like.
Right.
But I would say probably the hardest of hard nose that I wouldn't even bother with would be a Corvette.
Okay.
Wow.
Any Corvettes. I don't.
My heart was about to sink if you
There's
said
the
Ferrari.
door,
I was going to
man.
be like,
Just
Nah.
he's the Corvette guy and I'm the Ferrari guy. So-
No, I'm not a. Yeah, I don't. It's such a. I hate to say this, but in my opinion, it is such a poorly built car.
Oh.
Like
Corvette?
I've just seen so many people fucking kill themselves in those things.
Have you seen them when they're poorly built from factory, but have you seen them built when someone's done it right? Or do you think anyone has done it right?
Oh, if you're talking mods, that's a whole different story.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a factory, off the line car. Yeah, Corvette is no thanks.
What makes it in general hard no for just in general supercars though? Because typically a supercar is the pinnacle of what a
'Cause
car
they're-
company can make.
They're bought, not built.
Exactly.
There's a lot of that. Yeah.
I mean, I will take somebody's all-wheel drive van. What is it? Freaking Astrovan
Mm-hmm.
with speakers to the ceiling.
Mhm.
That's just a bucket of shit over almost any of the supercars because somebody's actually got
Equity.
they got
equity.
passion in it. There's heart in it.
What about then? Would that still same realm fall into like a Ford GT40, like the super performance ones that are built? That's a supercar, but you could build that.
You could. I've considered buying a kit because you can get them fairly inexpensive.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the platform you got to start with, but the GT40's also got a story. I mean, a very
Would that be the
very
one rare
definitive
exception?
storyline.
History. Yeah.
There's a history behind it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like there's so many of the supercars nowadays. It's just like, you know, hey, let's add 2 more cylinders.
Yep.
And let's just make it faster and more obnoxious
Mm-hmm.
and make it look more like an electric shaver driving down the street. You know, like the old school Diablo. I remember growing up, you know, kids were, oh my God, I don't see what's cool about it. Let's start off with the dumbass doors.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because why?
Yeah.
Because why? That looks like absolute shit.
Mhm.
Doors don't go up.
Yeah. I mean, it's spatial. Didn't Tesla do that too? Where
They did the gold wing.
Model
did some
X.
weird,
Yeah.
stupid, oh God.
Model X does that.
Horrible. That is the epitome of old people trying to look cool right there.
Yeah.
That is, yeah, that's just,
There's a lot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Final.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everybody ready for final?
Yep.
Okay. Coolest car related thing you saw this week? Well, thereabouts.
Looks like Jeremy's up first.
You did that last week.
I did. No, I did a different one last week.
Yeah. That looks like a container on the back of the
So
truck.
when you were asking about his top 3,
Mm-hmm.
you mentioned, I don't even remember what now. I like this one. And the reason I like this, it's a Unimog, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
Second, it's somebody had to build this, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's a shipping container
Yep.
set on the back of this thing. It's got a couple of extra doors on it and
Windows in it.
windows, and they made like
Made a full living space.
yeah, they made a full living space, and it's a short one. It's not a full,
Yeah, it's one of the short
53-foot
containers.
box, right?
It's
It's
like
like,
one
a
of the
20-footer,
14-footers.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they made a tiny home on the back of this Unimog.
It's kind of a good idea.
Yeah.
It's pretty ingenious.
They're making full apartments now of cargo containers. That makes logical sense.
They're making full houses
Mhm.
Yeah.
with these things. I was actually, I was on a website or on Facebook earlier looking through this shipping container home thing, and this thing popped up in there. I'm like, okay, that's the coolest thing I've seen all week. That's car
Nice.
related.
there's companies all over, but there's this big company in Germany, of all places, that they do these big builds like this
Yeah.
Mhm.
for all the, you know, crown princes and stuff in Saudi Arabia.
Sure. Anybody that has money
that
that wants it.
want to take, want to take their family on these excursions, and they build. Oh my gosh, this is honestly, this right here is a minimalist version
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
because
I'm
they
sure
get
for those
they
guys.
get gross. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
they get
Yeah.
really.
You should bring up that
out
one
there.
you had last week.
That was the
That,
coolest
that
one.
Freightliner.
Oh, that was
That's-
so cool.
Who did I send that to? Was it
Probably
did I send
me.
it to you?
What do you got, Grant?
So my coolest thing I saw this week was today, which they're cool. I understand why they're cool, but I don't. They're not like the coolest in my eyes, but I understand why they're cool. I saw them. So today, because I'm not a huge guy, but I understand seeing cool Porsche.
Mm-hmm.
Today I saw a GT2 RS
Really?
on the road.
On
yeah,
the road.
and
Wow.
again, for me, like my eyes went like, "Oh, that's cool," but my brain's telling me that should be really cool. Blah blah. But it's not. I'm not a Porsche guy, but I understand it has a really fast, really aggressive, really track car.
Yeah, it is. It's full on top
Yeah.
of the line. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I looked it up. 700 horses under that hood with like full aero everywhere.
Yeah.
And then the car that I saw before that, literally like 2 minutes ago, on a whole different spectrum, was a original Tesla Roadster.
Oh, really?
And you don't see those very much.
Wow.
No.
You know,
I don't think I've ever seen one on the road.
Yeah, and it was silent. Now, and again, you see it just it's another car, but realizing that was A, the first of where Tesla was,
Yeah.
and B, you don't see those.
No,
There's
you don't.
only
I don't think
one,
they make them anymore.
They don't.
No.
There's only
Yeah, they
one
haven't made them all the
mechanic
time.
in the U.S. that's not part of Tesla corporate, that's in Washington, that actually works on them. So to have them still on the road is even harder, because I don't know if even corporate Tesla will touch them.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
So that was pretty interesting, just seeing that going
That's pretty
through.
cool. Yeah.
But yeah, those are my two coolest things I saw today.
Right on.
So, Arturo, I pulled this picture up for you.
Look at that.
This was mine from last week.
Oh, so cool.
Holy crap.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah, that's like that Mad Max thing I was talking
Yeah.
about. Like that's...
Yeah, that thing's insane.
Oh, that's probably got like 2 or 3 pop-outs.
What is it? Safari HO type? Is that what it is?
I think
So-
that whole
Kenworth
side pops out.
W990.
Mm-hmm.
I think,
Oh, yeah, that's a slide out
yeah,
for sure.
I think the whole thing slides out, and then
Probably
I think
on
there's
both
slide
sides.
outs on slide outs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
I gotta
thing's
get me one of
massive.
those. I gotta get me one of those Jurassic Park things like that.
Couple of $1 million
to pull my
worth.
tumbler.
Whatever. Jurassic Park.
That's awesome.
So over Jurassic Park.
Dinosaur can't get in that thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Arturo, what you got?
I think actually I'm a big fan of ingenuity,
Okay.
being creative. So I would say it may not be in the last week, but it was a couple of weeks ago. I have a buddy of mine that came up with the idea of he hates it when people tailgate him, but he always drives slow.
Mm-hmm.
He's got these, big Ford trucks, big diesel, blah, blah, blah. He can basically uproot a house with one of his trucks. It's nuts.
All the torque in the world.
But yeah, he always drives slow, but people always tailgate him, so it pisses him off. So one of the funniest or the coolest things that I'd seen, he welded a pipe wrench to his bumper.
Yes.
To his bumper, and it's teetering on the edge, and
Sure.
it looks like it's
about to
Looks
fall
like
off.
it's about to fall off.
like,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
Yeah. How many
Go ahead.
How many people do you think are gonna?
Yeah, they're going to
Tailgate
back
me
off,
anymore.
right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that is amazing.
That's so
Yeah.
funny.
I love that.
It is pretty hilarious.
That's
I like
So
it.
that's really funny.
ingenuity like that
Yeah.
kind of stuff is pretty funny.
I dig that.
Oh,
okay,
man.
you're going to have to look mine up.
Roger that.
So this yesterday. Good catch.
Woo!
Oh yeah. Throwing
Okay.
microphones around.
Oh, I got it before
So-
it fell.
This is a concept car.
Okay.
9 were made. It's AMC MX3.
Why does it sound
Oh,
familiar?
I've seen this.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's I don't know what I was looking up, but that just popped up on one of my searches, and I was like, "Well, damn, I'd never seen that before."
How
You
do we
were-
find one of those?
You
We
were
didn't get
looking
one.
up
There's
the
only 9.
Pantera. You were looking up
I
the
know it looks
Pantera.
just like a Pantera. Actually, I might have been doing a search and see if I could find a Pantera to buy, but
That's like a hard top Mighty Mach 5.
Look what that one says. AMX-30, 50 years before the C8 Corvette.
yeah, it's a mid-engine car, but it does have a lot of Pantera vibes to it. I read the history of it and that kind of stuff, and it came with a 390 V8.
Okay.
Oh,
From a Ford?
that's a Ford motor, yeah.
It is a Ford motor.
Wow.
Huh.
But it was a conglomeration of builders because AMC was not a Ford company, quote
Mhm.
unquote. You know what an OTO transmission is?
OTO.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, so it didn't use the axle like the Pantera did. It used an OTO,
Okay.
and I think it was a 5-speed.
Like out of a Porsche?
Couldn't tell you what it came out of.
If I could see
It was a Bizzarini design.
Bizzarini.
Yeah. Anyway,
My mind's going blank because Bizzarini, I'm thinking Lambo guy, but that's not him.
yeah, that was him.
Oh.
He designed it.
That's not Bizzarini. That's Bertone.
No, it's Bizzarini.
Bizzarini?
Yep.
That must be a different guy.
Anyway,
But interesting. Like,
yeah, no, it was really cool. For the listener, look up the AMC MX.
Yeah, no, that's a really cool one. Is all
They only
9?
made 3 of them.
Did it say that 9 were found so far?
9 are in existence.
But they have they are all accounted for?
All
though?
accounted for.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Interesting.
That's all there is.
Hmm.
That's all I got.
Nice.
So that's
awesome.
our show. Little discombobulated this week, so sorry about that. But
Yay.
I think it
thank
went
you,
off without
Arturo,
a
for
hitch.
coming.
Yeah.
Huh?
Really
Thanks
appreciate
for
it.
having me.
Yeah.
Do you have any plugs you want to give?
Me?
Your shop or anything?
No,
No, I'm good.
Okay.
no, not really.
Okay.
I don't need the work. I'm fine.
Nah, we always need work. We always need money, but already.
We've got projects I haven't got to yet.
Oh yeah, I got to take a vacation from my job just so I can work at my shop.
Work at your other job.
Yeah.
Yep. The nighttime job.
Yeah. Well, I'll plug us real fast.
Sure.
Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Gmail at Untitled Car Project, except for Twitter, which is Untitled Car Pro.
Bingo.
And we have a Discord
We do.
and a YouTube channel now.
With 2 people.
Woo!
Yeah. You could come on to Discord and chat with Grant.
There you go.
Let his ADHD take over.
Like only Grant, because Rob doesn't know what his login is.
Might be true. Maybe. Yep. Anyway, thanks for following along. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Check you guys later. Bye.